Hello and welcome to the World Cup final in orienteering, where we're all set for the last two individual races of this World Cup 2021. Here we're in the Dolomites in Italy for two middle distance races, first with the men and then with the women. They're going to be tackling this course to earn their final World Cup points, and we'll see who takes the overall win. It is still up for grabs in both the men's and the women's competitions today, so should be set for an exciting series of races. We've already had the long distance at this World Cup final, which was a couple of days ago. There's some highlights of that now up on YouTube and up on online. If you wanted to check out some of the pictures and the results from some of that, we saw Kasper Fossa and Tove Alexanderson taking the wins in those. Will they be able to make it 2 from 2? Well, they're certainly in with a good chance. We're in the same arena that they were in for the long distance a couple of days ago, but in different terrain. They're on the other side of the forest, up on these hills with some technical contour detail, but visibility is quite good, runability is very good. We saw the men taking on 19 kilometres a couple of days ago, and the women 13 kilometres, running really, really quickly through the terrain. Hopefully it should be set for an exciting race. These are the standings though, and Jonas is here to chat through them with me. Of course, we've got Kasper Fossa at the top of the standings, but he's not won it yet.
No, but there's a very big chance for him to win it, because the gap is really, really big, and we have seen the shape he's in it at the moment. He won the race, the long distance race you named before, with more than 5 minutes. So, well, I actually think, there's a big chance for him to win it for sure, and he's the big favorite. And I don't know what has to happen more than a mispunch that he won't make it today. I see him definitely as the big favorite, yeah.
Yeah, me too. One person on that list who we don't have here is Gustav Bergman. He's decided not to come out to this competition.
Yeah, he decided to stay at home. There was a lot of time abroad, he mentioned, when he was publishing it, and he wants to spend a bit more family time, so he didn't travel down to Italy. Of course, pity for us, but well, I guess a good decision.
Yeah, he said that wasn't going to make the trip down to Italy, but we do have a few other names kind of in that top 10. Adam Heimdall as well is in there, Lucas Leland, a few youngsters, Joey Hadorn as well. But let's, though, talk through this course and have a look at the map, Jonas.
Well, you can see it. We are in the very last part from the long distance, so it's very detailed. You named it, runnability is good. It's a bit less good than it was in the long distance, especially in the beginning there. So it's a bit more stony, a bit more rocky here. It's a very rhythmical course. You often get these 3 controls, approximately the same distance away from each other, then a little bit a longer one, and then 3 controls again. So you have them grouped together. Many changes in direction here, that makes it a bit more difficult for the runners, and then you have this long leg here, 14 to 15. In my eyes, I guess it will be kind of decisive, because it's one of the controls where you actually can have different route choices. On the other ones, many of them you will have micro route choices, but basically straight on. So 14-15 for sure, interesting one. We will have 2 TV controls or parts where we follow the runners. It's between control 4 and 6 and 12 to 14, and of course towards the finish, where we have a lot of time to follow them out in this open area.
Yeah, so that's the overview of the course. Let's have a look at some of the kind of more intricate parts of it. We're going to have a look at some of those different route choice options that we've got, but it seems so it's 5.1k, 250 meters of climb. Let's have another kind of closer look then and pull out some of the more tricky bits. So 3 to 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's one of these. Yeah, named it before. They are often grouped together in like 3 controls and then a bit a longer one. This one is actually one of the longer controls. I think that still. I mean, if you think back to the long distance race, we had options like this, but even there it was fastest to go straight on. I guess it will be the same here today as well. Straight is always an option, and I think it's a good option. Maybe it's a bit more technical to go straight, but well, we are at the World Cup final, so the runners here, they can handle that. I expect them to go quite straight, and then that we will have micro route choices in some parts.
Yeah, you've got just these micro route choices, like which crags you're going to go between here. You can see how steep it is, but just how visible everything is. You can really pick out all of the features here. So you're just going kind of above the crag here. You can see the big depression on the left, and then going up this re-entrant here. Everything's pretty defined, I think, at this point.
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned it before. The runnability maybe not the very best, but the visibility is so good. It makes the speed, it makes it easier to have a good speed in the terrain. Difficulty today, you have many contours on the map, and you have to figure out on which side of a hill the control is located. Is it a depression? Is it a hill? It looks easy when you're zoomed in, or it looks easier when you're zoomed into the map here, but if you're running out in the terrain and you have it not zoomed in, it's quite a task to figure out, kind of generalize the map and find the features you will want to use for your navigation here.
Yeah, you can just see when you zoomed out to the map there just how detailed it is. When you zoom in here, you can see a lot more of the features and everything. But they are, they're big, they're well-defined features. But yeah, it's knowing what's up and what is down and reading that detail.
And I mean, if you look at the map here, you see many features on the map. But if you look in the terrain, it's actually quite clear contours, and that's exactly what you have to do. You have to filter out the map and just use the big contours for your navigation.
Yeah, and that's going to allow you to get the good speed, the good high speed, and not be slowing down too much to kind of make sure you're taking in all of that detail as well. And then there's this long leg, of course, 14 to 15. Potential different options here.
Yes, you have different options. I guess they will go for the blue one, most of them. Yeah, visibility is good and runnability is okay. Maybe it's a bit stony in some parts, but it's also stony if you run around. Maybe you get some tracks there, but I expect them to go quite straight here.
Yeah, I think that's what we saw, as we said, from the long distance race. Even though there was big parts of climb you could avoid, a lot of the runners sticking really, really close to the red line, and I think when the legs are shorter here in this middle distance race, it's just going to continue that way as well. So we're looking through the start list then, and of course they are off in the order of the World Cup standings. So Kasper Fosse, currently leading the World Cup standings, will be going last. But of course, big teams we've got out here, some with 6, 7, 8 runners. So they will be kind of ticking off, and we'll get to some of those better ones towards the latter end of the competition as we tick through all of these different nations. Anyone you want to pick out? Anyone we may be looking at an earlier runner to set us a quick time?
I mean, we have Olav Lundenes, who is starting quite early, already at 1:07, because you named it. It's the world ranking or the World Cup standing, and he was injured in many of the races, so he starts quite early today. When we are talking about the big favorites, I would say they are at the very end, of course. Emil Svensk, Troy Haddon, Daniel Hopman, Matthias Kiburz, and Kasper Fosse. But there are many names here who can perform very well. We have seen that in many races in middle distances in the men's class. So yeah, it will be exciting. And this is the leader at the moment, Nicolas Rio, and you see the time, 35 minutes and 20 seconds, and expected winning time was 35 minutes. So it is a fast race today. I think he will go, well, it would be a surprise if he would win it. So I think we will go down a little bit more in the winning time or in the running time. So pretty fast race today.
Yeah, pretty fast race compared to the long distance where I think we just the last two, Kasper Fosser and Tove Alexandersen, both winning by over 5.5 minutes. They were the only ones to get anywhere near close to that winning time. It was a really long one. I think, yeah, you're right. This is going to be much quicker. You've got a lot of descent, especially in the last kind of section of the race. And then the last, it's kind of like 500 meters even, is all just kind of running across these fields to be towards the same arena. So there's kind of going to be a lot of just dead running at the end, to be fair, on this course. So yeah, Nicolas Rio again hasn't done much this year, meaning he was very low in the World Cup standings, one of our early starters, but we'll pick the race up with Kenny Kivikas from Estonia here. And also one of the early starters that we missed out on the list, Martin Regborn from Sweden, who has had a lot of injuries this year, hasn't raced. I think he was part of the team who went to the World Cup in Sweden but didn't finish there, so won't have very many points, but had a great, I think it was a top 10 result yesterday for him, so another one of those early runners who we could see doing really, really well.
Yeah, he ended up on 5th
Yeah, he was
place.
5th, yeah.
But he's kind of, he's, of course, surprised you say he's starting very early. It's, we have to wait quite many minutes for him to start. So it's, but of course, he's one of the earlier. He's starting a bit earlier than this group I named in the very end.
So Mikhail Kuleshov is on his way to split number 1. So we'll get split 1 at control number 6. After, as you said earlier, just kind of a few controls very close together. And I think any runners who've been on the World Cup circuit for quite a while will, or even not even very long, will know that when you've got controls quite close together, those are very likely to be ones where there are TV cameras. But actually, look, if you look underfoot, you can already see it's tracked up quite a lot, going through some of that greener undergrowth through there.
Of course, it will be tracking up a bit where you have the grass on the ground, but here in parts like this, when it's stony and I mean, there's no vegetation on the ground, more or less, it's... So that here it won't tracking up, and of course you will see some of the footsteps from runners before, because the controls are quite short, close to each other, so they're all heading out into the same direction. So exactly at the control and just before the control, you always see a few tracks.
Yes, that was Kuleshov just punching control number 5, and we are just, I think, the other side of control number 6. You should see him come past this boulder. That's a good step on the way into the control. And he was, plus 6 seconds at control number 4. That's where we have Anton Johansson from Sweden leading at that point. And it's Aro Eho leading for Finland, currently at this 6th control, our first TV split. And then straight back down out of there. Let's have a look at some of the tracking.
And you see here already from the start, short controls. That's a bit a tricky one because you have no time to get into the race, to get used to the mapping. Of course, many of the runners here have been running the long distance already, but it's a different scale, and not all of them have been running the long. So it can be a bit tricky, and also here we see they go more or less straight. They use this small path there to get some help on the way. But once you get close to the control, the visibility is good. You see the controls from quite far away. That's the point where we have seen Kuleshov in the picture between 4 and 6. See, bit bad direction out from the control, from the Russian runner there. And now we're waiting for Vincent Coupa from France. And now we are at split 2. So we are at the controls 12 to 14.
So we see, yeah, Vincent Coupa lost some time. He was quicker than the current leader at the finish, Nicolas Riot, at control number 6.
And you see it here, the control point is actually it's actually really easy. So I think that's kind of the thing today. It's not about really finding the control points. If you get close to the control, you will see it. But it's all about do the navigation on the way to the control and do it in a way that you can be running in an attacking manner all the way, and not having to read all the details on the way. You have to generalize the map, filter out all the unnecessary details, and make it as easy as possible for you. Let's see here. You have it towards control 10.
Yeah, looks pretty good so far.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, we have seen that he has lost time between the first TV split and the second one here. So at one point, I guess he must have done a mistake. Here is a bit too low and hesitating a bit, or at least losing time in the uphill. This is Noat Spinden from Switzerland. Took his first World Cup points in the long distance, ended up on 35th position.
Quick start and then disappearing into the darkness. So Magnus Stewart here, and shortly arriving at the 6th control, I think. And you're really thrown into the orienteering here. You know, there's a few very short controls very quickly. It's kind of, let's not mess around, get straight to plunging you into this detailed orienteering.
But right at the point where he's at the moment, it's actually quite, yeah, I was about to say it's quite easy because you punch the control at control 5, you're at the lowest point there. If you take direction out and you lift your head to get to see the features around you, you can really see the 2 hills, and you have just to run over it. You can see it here between control 5 and 6. Just get between 2 hills there, and then you get kind of a line towards the control. So it's actually quite, if you take your time and figure out what you want to see, be really exact with the direction, then it's not too difficult. But I think that the big challenge today is how to be really fast on this one, because it is tricky. It needs some coordination to run in this stony area. You see it here, and then to be able to run in an attacking manner. I think that's the challenge today.
So here's Kenny Kivikas, who we saw at start. And you've got to try and, yeah, pick your way through these sections, be really confident. You can see every time he looks at his map, you can see it slows down. He slows down.
And it's very interesting to see, because you saw the 2 runners there, and Kivikas, he looked much more attacking, but at the same time he was not faster. Just at this point, he kind of tried to attack, and then he had to stop and was reading the map again, and they were about the same speed. So that's a bit what I wanted to mention before. If you have control and you kind of maybe can skip one time, you have contact with the map, and instead just focus on attacking in the physical part, then I think you can win some time here.
Yeah, and also on a course where we don't think we're gonna see too many like big mistakes, then it's all about just a few seconds here and there, and if you're consistently losing like 2 seconds of control, what we've got 20 controls here on the men's course, that's 40 seconds gone straight away.
Of course, and I mean you mentioned a good point there. When we think back to races where we see runners making big mistakes, it's always in parts where the visibility is very low, and you don't have many features, and once you're a bit off direction, it's hard to relocate, and it's really not the case here because you have so many features that help you relocating. You don't have this disturbing part with low visibility that gets you off track. So, as you said, it's really not. I don't expect them to make big mistakes here. Of course, you can miss a control by 20, 30 seconds, but we won't see. Oh yeah, now I'm I'm making a prognosis here, maybe, but I don't expect them to make very big mistakes here.
No, but it's, as you're saying, it's that amount of detail which means, and the visibility, which means you're not going to make big mistakes, but you really have to work hard to get that speed really high because there's so much detail, and because you can see a lot of it as well. You can get overwhelmed with just how much information there is to take in, and you've got to be able to process and deal with all of that. So it's almost like that this is quite an extreme part, which makes it difficult to do big mistakes because these orienteers are so good, but also makes it really hard to keep a really high speed throughout here as well. But Aro Aho from Finland, who's making his World Cup debut, age of 22, has caught up Marc Sarrion-Garquez from Spain, the two of them running together. So it's pretty good, and he was looking great early rounds. I wonder if we don't have GPS tracking from Nicolas Rio, which is why we haven't seen him on the tracking actually. But he's certainly made some good time, and it's going to be one we're going to be comparing against a lot of the other runners against. But now they are into the finish line here. It's like a long run for home here, and I think we're going to see we saw a lot of people a couple of days ago collapsing across the line. I think it's going to be exactly the same thing, but the Finn goes into third place there. 46 seconds slower than Nicolas Rio, who, as we said, was 35:20 is the current leading time. So we'll have a little look back at the tracking then from the Finn and the route choices through here. This looks like a let's go straight, oh no, let's bail out to the path kind of tactics. But then he's actually not even sticking much on the path. I wonder if the GPS is slightly off.
Yeah, it was quite a straight route by Aho. I think he stayed up on the hill there to get out to avoid some up and down parts in the beginning, and then he used a small track towards the control, running between the hills or by the hill there, just in the middle of the control, and you see those three different options here, or you could have seen it. And here in the very end, more or less the run-in starts at control 16, because to 17 you just follow the contours to the control, and then same to 18, and then here you have to change gear again and really speed up as much as possible. There you can just try to get out everything you have left in your body. to the control, and you have actually a lot of time to do so.
Yeah, you do. But after a knackering long distance, yes, it was a couple of days ago. They have had a rest day in between. That's still. It was a very long race for a lot of the runners out there. If you're not in the top 10 runners, so that will surely have kind of played a toll on the body.
Here we see a comparison. The tail is 60 seconds. So let's see how this will go. We see that Aho, he chooses to take the track there for some meters. The gap was about 80 seconds, I think. And here we see that Kupa got stuck in the stony area there. It's a bit of the risk when you go totally straight there through this dotted area. Here again, he goes through the dotted area. Of course, it's very stony there. But I would say he lost about 1 minute here between control 14 and 15, or at least
30 seconds to a minute, yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got to be careful not to add too much distance as well if you're going kind of around a lot of these very round-shaped depressions or hills. Then if you're wiggling around too much, you're really going to be adding the distance on quite quickly.
Yeah, and if you go around, you have to be sure that you will be able to win it back later on. Of course, if you go around and have to get through stony areas anyway and have to do climbing anyway, then go straight from the beginning. So that's a bit the problem here. You've seen in Kupa's route there, he got stuck in the stony area. So he was running around. Of course, he could maybe avoid some climbing, but he got really into the worst part when it comes to the stony areas, and that's where he lost time here. Now we are with
you saw just how
Noah
much
Spinden.
he slowed down. Yep, Noah Spinden then into split number 1.
But he must have done a mistake here in the beginning. Ready, almost 1.5 minutes behind.
Yeah, and just kind of that hesitation out of the control speaks a lot too. I mean, pretty much everybody else we've seen heading, bit more to the right, straight out of the control, down to the road, which we can pretty much see from that camera position there. So that's quite...
I mean, it's something when you have such open terrain and you have so good visibility. The moment you see the control, you have to switch towards the next control, so that you really, when you punch the control, you know where to go. You can even take a glimpse into the terrain and take a look where it is good to run out from the control. It doesn't make a very big difference, but of course, as you mentioned before, if you do it at every control 20 times and you win 20 or lose 2 seconds every time, then it's summing up in the end. And it also gives you a good flow. It gives you a good feeling to be able to just keep on running at the control, and if you don't have to stop at the stop and go, sometimes it's really smart to do in some parts, but it also gives you the feeling that you're not too fast, and it's always good to have a good feeling, especially in a terrain like this where the visibility is so good.
Yeah, but I guess the advantage of the stop and go means if you keep going and you go but in the wrong direction, that can really badly influence the whole of that leg just from the exit direction of the control.
Of course,
so,
but the stop and go in a terrain like this, where you can see the features quite long ahead of you, it's not really necessary, because you can see 50, 100 meters in front of you, so you can lift your head, take a look, run in this direction. You're sure that you have the direction, and then you can continue doing it and always take step by step. So you don't need to stop. And if you have terrain where the visibility is very low and you have to be really careful with the direction, because in green areas it's very easy if you have to round some features, some fallen trees or whatever, it's very easy to lose direction. And then it can be a good thing to do some stop and go and maybe read the map for some meters and then stop again and do the map reading again. But here you should be able to do it while running.
So Vincent Coupin, Nicolas Riot, just going to examine the map, having a look. I think they're looking at the long leg, potentially, I think from 14 to 15. And you can see the use of the magnifier there. That's got to be a good idea for a lot of people today. Right, so Ecker then here for Switzerland is 24 seconds down at control number 4. This is the 5th control.
So now I can spot the control, so you should already know direction out. Takes another look at the map. Quite okay. Though there were a few meters into kind of the wrong direction, but we didn't see, maybe had to round some fallen wood or fallen trees there. Reading the map here in the uphill.
We'll soon see him. There we go. Come over.
You could really see when he spotted the control there. So now he should use this time to prepare, but I think that was what he was doing already in the uphill. So here you can see that he is really smoothly through the control. He used the time in the uphill there to prepare the next leg. He was pretty sure that he will see it when he comes over the hill there. It's really good. Here we have them the GPS comparison. We had maybe a bit.
Vincent Coupin going around a lot there. Yeah.
Here we see that Ecker is actually taking the route around.
Wow.
See if it's paying off. At least he didn't lose a lot of time. Maybe, let's say, 5 to 10 seconds there.
So back with Magnus Stewart from Denmark, who I think has caught up Lucas Patscheider from Italy. There's quite a lot of young Italians making their World Cup debuts in this home race. I've got a big team out there, and Patscheider is one of those. And of course, it's always a boost to have caught up your minute man. Caught up your, or I think it's a 2-minute start interval, isn't it, today? So to have caught up that bit at that time. So we can look back at the Dane in green. See behind though, Coupin. Oh, mistake here.
Yeah, he was running down there and thought he was running into this other depression there, close to control 9. Of course, it's still, even if you have good visibility, it's very necessary to look at your compass to have right direction down there, because as we have seen, if you just go over the spur there down into slightly wrong direction, you can end up in a wrong depression there, and then it's still easy to parallel mistakes, which at that point was very unnecessary because you also had this path just before the control.
I don't know what you think about this, but I think sometimes there's a tendency when you've got a lot of contour features like this that you're so focusing on the contours that sometimes the compass goes out the window a bit.
Maybe. I mean, it depends a bit on what kind of runner you are. Some of the runners, they just use the features kind of instead of the compass. So they are reading the way through the terrain without really focusing too much on the compass. And others are really relying on the compass and on direction. Here, this terrain is kind of a borderline thing because the contours and the hills, they are so high that it's kind of, yeah, you can't just take direction and run, then you will just go up and down all the time. So you have to do kind of both, and at some points, especially downhill, then it's very tempting to kind of think that you can just use the features, and if you only use the features, of course that's a risk, because if you do a mistake and you think this is the hill to the right, but it's actually the one to the left on the map, so then you do this small mistake, maybe it's only 20-30 meters, but you can be ending up doing a big parallel mistake in the end. So it's a tricky thing, especially in terrain like here, where you have to do kind of a mix between the techniques. But it's easier here to read the features from the beginning. Of course,
Yeah,
because they are so distinct.
That was Jakob Glonek through there. He's maybe more of a sprinter, 9th in the World Champs. Obviously home soil for him. But now we will look to Olaf Lindenez, of course, because has for so long been the master of the long distance, 6 long distance world titles. He's not had a great year this year with injury. In fact, I think he pulled out of the World Champs middle distance race, was focusing on the long distance race and finished 17th. He was also 23rd in yesterday's long distance race, so significantly down on his, on his best form. At the moment, we know he's been struggling with injury, so we'll see what he's able to do today. He will, of course, attack it, but it's hard. I guess it's hard to come to a race like this on the world stage knowing you're not at your best, you're not at your top fitness, and kind of knowing how to orienteer like that as well, and then how to be satisfied with your performance when you rightly have such high standards for your competition. So it'll be interesting to see what Olaf Lindenez can do.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, he ended up on 23rd position on Thursday. And I mean, but maybe the race there was too long. Of course, if you're not in your best shape, a long distance like it was there, it's very tough. So maybe he has like higher expectations for this middle distance, because if he does a clean race technically, if he just gets the rhythm and can do a good race here, I think even if he's not at 100%, if he's at 90-95%, he can end up in a really good position. And here we see actually a mistake. Artem Popov.
Yeah, I think he must have seen the track down there and known it was too much. Is the control in there? I'm not really sure where he's come down to at this point. But back with Kenny Kivakas over towards split number 2. So control number 14 for the men. Taking the climb, and then it's a lot of downhill from here. But oh gosh, you can see some mistake must have been made at somewhere, because he was only 1:18 down and now he's 6:34. What were we just saying about people not really making mistakes? And then we've just seen quite a few.
Well,
yeah. Okay, don't listen to what we say.
Let's say we were talking about the runners in the very end, maybe.
Yeah, no, we will say that, because I don't think we will see many mistakes from the runners right at the end. But Kivika seems to be making this one look pretty easy, and then of course you've got this long leg as well, and those we've seen punches control already. We've seen them stop for quite a long time at this control, just getting exactly where they're going. So it seems like Kivika is doing the same. Ralph Street though here, this is control number 4, I think, and he's 32 seconds down off the pace at the moment. Looking to see, it's still Anton Johansson from Sweden, who's the leader at control number 4. And so Ralph Street, who lives in Oslo, was 36th in the long distance. He's actually got a Brit off straight after him as well. Hector Haynes coming through next, who was 33rd on the long distance. Middle distance, though, is his best. We've seen his best performances at a World Championships. He was 13th in 2018, over in Latvia. We'll soon see him drop down into this control.
Yeah, good
so
part
goes
here.
10th, yeah, it caught up 12 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good. It looked very distinct here. No hesitation, no stopping at controls. Very smoothly through the controls. And let's see here in the beginning. Rounding there as well. Maybe a bit much. We've seen that before by Vincent Coupa, I think it was. And then here we have the reason why he was a bit behind, I guess, in the beginning. Seen Rito Ecker doing the same. He lost about, let's say, 10 seconds there. Let's see if it's the same for Ralph Street. Yeah, it might be even more here. Maybe half a minute. I think he lost all of the time he was behind at control 4. He's lost to this on this longer route towards control 4. Yeah,
but just making up 12 seconds on those few controls from 4 to 6. That just kind of, I guess, shows you he's got some good pace through the terrain. But yeah, that route choice costing that point. So Elias Kuka from Finland off here. And here's Hector Haynes. Living out in Sweden, there's quite a few Brits competing on the international circuit who live outside the UK. He's another of them, but he is a little bit further down at control 4, plus 117. So not made the same start as Ralph Street. You could almost see he wasn't quite expecting, maybe not quite expecting that, just having to take another look just to get the confirmation that is the control, or maybe kind of looking to see where he was going. Now he'd seen that control in the distance, looking to see where he had gone out of it. I think that was what he does, because no need to look at the map on his way out there. Now takes a little look on the heading up this slope. Hector's got his best middle distance race comes at the World Champs anyway. He's 10th at the World Champs in 2015, which was home soils in Scotland. But here's Olaf Lindenez.
He lost some time
He's
here in
also
the
down.
beginning. Yeah. Maybe we get some GPS later. Right.
But actually, a lot of those leading or doing well at this point in the course, like Aro Aho from Finland, like Matthias Petter from Austria, who was third at this point, have kind of lost more gaps. So there's a lot of those who've had good starts, who've then kind of come unstuck later on in the course. So even if you're a little bit further down at this point, I think it's not too bad, at least not at this point. I think once we get to the last 10 guys, you're going to really have to be right up with the leaders, even at this first TV split. But looking good for Lundnes through, just down through there.
Here we are with Rito Ecker. Lost some time here. He was one of the starters who had a good time there at control 6. He was 17 seconds behind. Then at control 12, 149 behind. Also here hesitating, doing a mistake.
Oh, and it's the worst thing you can see. He's just wanting to turn his back on the camera and change direction there.
And now you have to keep calm here with the camera in your face. That's a big mistake here. So what
Yeah, going all the way back
nice
out to the road.
Now he's close, I guess. There it is. Yeah, that was a big mistake here.
Yeah. He was nearly over at control number 14, but hadn't found 13 yet.
I wonder really what happened, because you have quite clear features there. You have some cliffs and you have some stony parts. You have contours. And you also have the street there that can help you. Even though if you don't really climb up there, you can see it, or you can kind of feel where it would start if you look up the hill there. So there are many things if you look here between 12 and 13 that can help you navigation. But let's see what happens. No,
Well, you should be able to see 12 from quite a way because it's on the underside of that crag.
Yeah, so let's see here. I think he tries to climb up there to this path, didn't really get it, and then he missed the control only by a few meters. Yeah, that's a pity. I mean, he was basically there, I think that he... I don't know if he really had... now he
now we're live
misses
with him,
14.
so the tracking,
yeah,
yeah.
again. Or did he have it and heading towards 15 already, maybe? Maybe
Yeah,
the
I think he
tracking
must
is
have
a bit
done
off.
because obviously
Yeah.
he went out to the road and it didn't show him going out
Yeah.
to the road. So I think the GPS was just like a bit off there. So it's hard really to tell, I guess, then how close he was to the control when we look at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, Elias Kuka has made a good start, only 12 seconds down at the 4th control. And now picking up this little path on the way to the 5th. You can see maybe just quickly checking the direction on the exit. We're looking pretty smooth through there.
And I mean, we know that there is potential to catch some time here in this part. Ralph Street caught 11 seconds here. Or 12 seconds even. Kuka was 12 seconds behind. Punching here, also he is able to catch a few seconds. He's faster at that point compared to the leader in the finish, Nicolas Riot. Now we have Jens Rönnolds here. The picture, I think he's the one we haven't seen before. So let's see what happened or what happens. So he is going around. We know that earlier runners like Ralph Street and Reto Ecker, they lost time here.
Yeah.
So he is losing, let's say, 20 seconds, maybe 25 here in the picture. Was 16th in the long distance.
Yeah, good result for one of the Swedish team, like less experienced on the World Cup circuit.
Yeah, it's a good start. I mean, not the best route choice there to control 4, but in the forest he seems, yeah, I mean, he looks very fast here, very distinct in his navigation. No hesitating so far, but we have seen in the picture or on the GPS.
Yeah, and that for me suggests that that will continue around the rest of the course and then kind of add up and pay off ultimately around the rest of the course.
I mean, it's a pity for him that he lost about 20-25 seconds there on the route choice, but otherwise very good start here, and that's Noah Spinden on the way to the finish.
Yep, and we'll go into then 8th place here. You can see a lot of that time lost early on, to be honest.
Yeah.
And caught up, had a fast finish as well from control 18, which is the last one in the forest, all the way to the end. So, yeah, pretty good. Just a shame about the beginning part of that race as we catch back up with Ralph Street, see how he's getting on to the second split. And actually, it's still Yeah, within 30 seconds. So matching that time. So Nicolas Rio is still our leader at the finish, and he is the leader at control number 14 as well. Valentin Novikov in second. This one going to be at the top of the hill. Could just kind of see him looking around here, just trying to spot it. And then a lot of that map reading you can see on the way into the control. You can see he was looking around, he spotted it, and then it was like, right, 15, which way am I going? It could be quite quick on the way out of that as well. So that put him into, I think it was third in the pre-warning. Let's have a little look at the tracking.
Yeah, we're comparing here with Aho, who has fastest time at control 6. It looks good here, but I mean, one runner we don't have on here is Nicolas Rio, unfortunately, because he was actually having good times at every split. He was only 11 seconds behind at control 4, and then he's leading from control 12 to the finish.
Yeah,
and I mean the finish
time
time is and finish time is 35 minutes, so that's another indicator that it was a good race by him.
Mihailo Lejnik then here, the pole. He's going to go in there alongside the German Felix Spate. So a third place there, just less than a minute slower than Nicolas Rio. Okay, let's have a look at these couple of runners into the finish.
Many of the runners choose to take this small path there, the track. It gives you some meters where you don't have to read the map too carefully. We also saw again part where Vincent Coupa got stuck in the stony area. A small mistake here though, by Oleinik. Kind of went to the wrong spur.
Yeah, when you're descending like that, you've exactly got to keep your direction. Teresa Checheva from the Czech Republic is the current leader on women's course, 40 minutes and 23. Just comparing their courses.
And I think we are with Rudolf Sernis. He had a good start here to the fourth control. Now he's stopping. Has to go one more, I guess. Yes, indeed. He was only 5 seconds behind at control 4. Yeah, that's what I thought. He didn't really come from the same direction as the other runners. Here we also see that he is together with Janis Bonek. So he caught the Austrian runner. And he passes the Austrian runner here as well. It's quite a difference in the speed as it seems here.
Yeah, and it's looking like it might be difficult for the Austrian to kind of latch on to Zernis and try and keep up. It looks really solid.
I think Zernis would have had the potential here to take over the lead, but he just missed a little bit at control 5.
Riccardo Scalet then here. So the best of the Italian men. We can get another look at the standings at split 1. So Aho from Finland is still the leader there, with those 8 minutes 33 seconds, but a lot of those, Anton Johansson, Matthias Petter, they've all come to the finish. They've all lost time in the middle part of the course, and they are, not in. There's a reason why we've not really been talking about them, because they've not been high up enough. We've got Ralph Street there, who was, I think, in 3rd spot when he passed through our second TV split, was down at plus 20 seconds at that point. So as long as you're in kind of those first 2 pages of the results, splits at that point, then that's a pretty good start. So Tim Robertson here, setting off into the terrain. Much more of a sprinter is an understatement for Tim Robertson. He took a bronze medal though at the World Championships in the sprint after a season full of injury. Managed to get back into the shape to be able to take the bronze medal in the fort in the Czech Republic. It's a really great, exciting race. But yeah, Tim Robertson not known for his forest races quite as much as he is for the sprinting.
Here we have Rito Ecker. Had a good start, but we have seen him with big problems there between control 12 and 14. Here we see it again, especially at control 13. Maybe we have some correction in the GPS here in this replay compared to last time. It's the same, I guess. So I think he was a little bit more to the east there. But of course, he was very close to the control. You can see that the GPS was quite off there, so it's hard to say where he actually passed control 14. 13, I mean.
Oh.
Then he missed control 14. He really did miss it there as well.
And that's such a common thing, isn't it? To make a mistake and then make another one straight afterwards. Yeah,
of course, his focus drifted away. It would have been very interesting to see where he really passed control 13, because he must have missed it with only a few meters, but I don't think the GPS was totally right there. No. So maybe, but he must have just missed it. Maybe didn't really expect it to be there, because I think if you expect the control to come, the visibility is so good that you should see it. So he might have been preparing the next control already, or he was just a little bit behind in the map reading and lost focus just for a few seconds.
But when you know you were so close to the control and you missed it and you ended up wasting a couple of minutes, it's so frustrating how, you've got to try and pick your, your mental strength back up from that and go try and reset and actually go, it's fine, and just not be really angry.
But of course, the second he misses the control, he doesn't know that he is missing by just a few meters, because then he would just turn and punch it.
No, so it's hard to say. When you go back and you find it, and then you might realise, I was literally just there 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean he did a whole circle there. It's hard to say if he knew that he just passed it by a few meters. But of course he does know that he was close, and it's annoying. It's always like waking up the feeling that you have to push more to the next control, because you might be able to win back time, which is kind of impossible, because the only thing is you can do is lose time here, because you always run as good as you can in orienteering, or hopefully you do. So it's kind of, the thing is that you can lose time, but you can't really win back time. So it's kind of a risky thing to turn up the speed again. But at the same time, I mean, you automatically lower the speed when you're doing mistakes, so you feel that you have kind of more power in your body when you punch the control, and you want to get back into this feeling where you were before you did the mistake. So usually you just overpace it a little bit just away from the control, and you have to be really careful to not do it.
So Miloš Nikodym here from the Czech Republic is also about kind of 30 seconds down at control number 4. You can see refolding the map on his way up the hill. Of course, Miloš Nikodym he won the World Cup final middle distance, what was it, 3 years ago, 2018, when it was in Czech Republic, or was that 4 years ago, 2017? I can't remember now which year it was, but that was by far his standout performance of his career.
I think it was 2018.
And you can see, yeah, he actually, again, like Ralph Street, had a good series of controls there, 4 to 6, catching up quite a few seconds. So you can see some strength there. I wonder if he too went out to the path from 3 to 4. It'll be interesting to see.
See a new leader. We were talking about him in the beginning. He took the wrong route to control 4, lost quite a lot of time there, but we could see between control 4 and 6 that he really got good speed here, and he could keep that pace towards control 12. He's in the lead by 20 seconds here. So actually the first one faster than Nicolas Rio. Looks very promising for him.
I think he's just looked up, seen that controls, looking now on this long leg here. But yeah, it does look very promising. He will take the new leading time.
And this, talking about the leading time, here we have a new leading time at control 4. Riccardo Scalet from Italy on home soil.
And at control 6 as well. And that was 40-second lead at control number 6, which is a big dent in that time. We've seen a lot of people be kind of 20 seconds outside. So Riccardo Scalet putting down a really big marker there so early on in the race. And you can see Ralph Streets catching. No, this is compared to, because now, of course, we've had Riccardo Scalet go through the first one. So he's a minute behind Riccardo Scalet at control number 6, but 22 seconds behind the current leader, Nicolas Rio, at control number 18, which was the last one in the forest. Then there's a couple of controls of pain here. You really got to try and push it hard all the way through to the finish. But Ralph Street is doing just that. Let's punch the last control and we'll see if he's going to take a new leading time.
Yes, he is.
I think he is. So a really strong finish, a strong run in there, because we saw he was behind. So Ralph Street goes into the new leading time there. 35.08 for the Brit. And
yeah, we've seen that before.
Happy,
Nicolas Rio, he lost time in the end. We had, for example, Aho was 20 seconds faster. So he must have done something there, or he just lost a lot of time in the running there, in this running section in the very end. Now we are with Tim Robertson, and see that he lost more than a minute already in the beginning.
Yeah, you can see him just pausing a few times, just trying to be extra sure. Yeah, and again, not being quite as distinct out of the control as well. You can always see he's like kind of looking back as he exits that control. Maybe sensing he's being caught.
Mathieu Perrin starting 2 minutes behind from France. We don't have his punch
Mathieu Perrin
yet.
had a good race on Thursday with that 15th place, so could well see.
But we don't have his punch yet at control 4, I guess. No.
Nope.
So no reason to look back here.
But I guess we've got to compare this with. I keep forgetting we've got to compare this with an outstanding leading time, though. We're still by 40 seconds, Ricardo Scalet. So even if you're, a minute and 8 seconds down on the first place, you're only, 28 seconds down on second place at that split. So.
Couldn't really see how much he's looking around for the big features here. Was even looking back up a hill there.
Yeah, I feel like we're just not used to seeing this much visibility on the World Cup and World Champs, and yeah, you can really spot how well they're looking around. This is a interesting descent then here.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah, descending down to that fourth control.
Good start. Only 8 seconds behind, and now we're comparing with Ricardo Scalet.
Of course, the Finns have a new national team coach as of the end of this season. Thierry Georgiou has announced his time with the Swedish team is up. Will be going ahead to coach the Finnish team. And I was listening to the Radio Erlingen podcast with Thierry Georgiou last week, and how he was saying he wants this opportunity to kind of develop this Finnish side who often have really, really great performances on junior level. And we can see this with Olli Uanaho with multiple junior titles, but then they don't quite manage to make that transition into the senior team, and they aren't winning the titles. They've got quite a lot of depth in their squad that's reasonably good, but they're not, regularly making the top 10s and medaling, and maybe that you think from their success at the junior time that they should have. So it sounds like he's quite excited to be able to work with a team that has a lot of potential, but not quite.
Yeah, of course.
I think he even said it's bigger budget to kind of to do stuff with, and wants to try and make an impact on that team.
And of course, I mean, we have been talking about this many times. Due to the good relay results they had during the last years. I mean, it's a very interesting young team here in the men's class. We have many interesting runners like Mika Kirmula, Akseli Ruohola, or Jonas Ahola, and also Olli Ojanao. So you have many good runners here to develop, and I think there's a lot of potential in this team.
Yeah, well, the way Thierry Georgiou was speaking, he sounds like he was very much up for the challenge of developing that squad, and kind of with they have more limited resources than the Swedish team. He was kind of comparing it to what he used to do over with the French squad, and the impact of training together, and how that was able to bring him and alongside the other French runners at the time together. He was quite excited about that prospect, so we will see whether he's able to make kind of an impact on that side and improve them. Of course, the Swedish team have always been great, and they continue to have top runners, so I think it should be very exciting going forwards with that Finnish side.
Of course,
there.
A big loss for the Swedish team. Also got some reactions there disappointed, of course, to lose such a big name as a coach, but they have a strong team and they have many good runners, so they will continue to push each other. Here we have Gaute Stave from Norway towards control split number 1. Let's see here. Yeah, he lost quite a lot of time in the beginning, 1:35 behind.
Can see him looking up and around as well. Well, he didn't actually finish Thursday's long distance. I mean, who knows why, but it was a very, very tough one, and there was an opportunity maybe to kind of cut it short if you felt that it wasn't going that well, maybe saving a little bit more for today's middle distance race. There was part of a large handful who didn't finish on that long distance, but it hasn't been the best of starts for the Norwegian. And again, you can just see that hesitation, the checking of the map, just checking, not quite having the confidence that, yeah, it's going to be there, or having quite spotted the control. I think it's a bit harder when you head up a little bit more to the left over that ridge. We've seen a lot of those taking the right hand side to be a little bit more kind of direct, as it were. Another Frenchman into the finish, Guillaume Elias, is on the run in now. It's not going to match the time of Ralph Street or his teammate Nicolas Rio. It could well be then a third place for him.
Quite a good race here. Lost time already in the beginning, and I mean, if you okay, now that we are comparing to different runners here, it's a bit disturbing. So it's a good race here by the French runner.
So Martin Wegborn then here, and he was 5th in the long distance a couple of days ago. He's not been running hardly at all this season with injuries, which means comparatively for that result he's starting quite early on. So we'll see what he's able to do in the terrain. Obviously he was feeling very good, yes, a couple of days ago on that long distance. I think this must be Robert Merle then through here to the second split. You can kind of see how the rocks and the slope just slows you down a lot. And I think that's Milos Nikodim, I think, there.
It is. He's
Also
24 seconds behind at control 12, so he had a good section there between control 6 and 12. No mistakes there. I think soon.
Soon we should see Ricardo Skelet coming through, and I think that's what this camera op's going to go and find.
Yeah, he might have thought it
really
was the Italian coming, following the wrong runner.
There
here we have
is.
him, and this is a really good race here. It was really, you could get the feeling, I think I was talking about that in earlier races this year, that you get the feeling that he's getting closer. Even though we didn't have so many races last year, you could see that he was in the few races there actually where he had some really good results, and he was one of the runners. I had the feeling that he has a great potential, and one day when everything when he gets everything together, getting into places, that he can have a really good results, and it seems as if he could have a good race here on home soil today.
And how much, of course, his motivation's got to be super high for this race in particular, and will maybe have put a lot more of his efforts into preparing for this, where of course for the other runners this is not the most important race of the season.
No. But I don't think it's about the motivation. Usually when the runners are at the starting line, motivation is not the problem. But here it's about, I mean, if you're running on home soil, it's totally different kind of confidence you have. You've been running in this kind of terrain many times, and even though if you might not have been training there the last months or weeks, you just have this advantage of thinking that you actually have an advantage because you have done that before, and it makes you a bit more confident, and it lets you attack the controls a bit more, which is especially, we were talking about that earlier in the race, which is especially important in this kind of terrain here. So I think this for sure is one of the reasons here why we see him doing such a good race.
Yeah, well put. That he thinks even if you think you've got an advantage, you believe you've got an advantage. It just
it's kind of a placebo.
It's all part of the confidence. Confidence is so important for orienteering.
Yeah, of course, and I mean it is an advantage to run on home soil, but you kind of have it in you when you have been running so many times in this kind of terrain. Even though you haven't been here for a while, it's kind of like cycling. If you're good at it once, then you just you will be. If you can do it once, then you kind of can do it your whole life. You know how to tackle this terrain.
But that has more of an impact though on a race in a World Cup maybe compared to a race in a World Championships. And I was gonna I'll come back to that thought later, because we've got Jens Ronalds in here who has dropped a lot of time now, and he was much higher up.
You can see on his body language here that he must have done a mistake. He's very well aware of the fact that he lost time at one point here because he was not pushing hard to the finish.
No, although he's still been pushing. Let's have a little look, see what happened then.
He's choosing to go out there. I think that's okay. That's a good option.
Yeah.
Going over here, that's still okay. Taking this hill as direction. Maybe a bit much to the north there. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I just got up a bit much to the north here, losing a few seconds there. To control 15. Then a big mistake to control 18 here. That's very close. He thought that he was too much to the west, that this other spur, I guess, tried to kind of get it right, and was running into the towards the wrong direction there. He thought he was doing a parallel mistake, which he wasn't doing, so he was kind of correcting the mistake he wasn't doing.
Yeah, that's so right. He exactly put. Maybe he's seen those kind of gates at the bottom of the hill as well, and it's when it gets nervous when you're descending into those last controls, and you can sense the end is coming, but you're not quite there yet. Then that is pretty tricky, to be honest, as well. So Alexei Niemi then here in towards the finish line. And he too has lost quite a bit of time. Although, losing time kind of throughout the course. And I think once we get Riccardo Scalesi into the next few, then he's going to be dropping down even more. Martin Regborn, though, here, climbing up then to control number 4. Does that suggest to me that he went round on the track? I think so. He's the 42 seconds down. And for me, that maybe suggests he went round on the track or made a mistake.
If he was running around, I'm quite sure we'll see it very soon on the GPS.
Yeah, I think we will. But yeah, 42 seconds down at this point. Judging by his great performance from the long distance, that's quite a lot of time to have lost at the start. But I want to go back to that home soil advantage when it's at a World Cup, because if it was a World Champs, you know, everyone takes the World Champs so seriously in terms of their preparation. So, you know, we saw, I mean, well, this year was a bit of a special year because of the limited travel, but, you know, people going and having training camps out in the terrain in the Czech Republic to try and familiarise themselves with it as much as they can. But that doesn't quite happen to the same extent for a World Cup round. So all the other competitors, you know, they'll have done the model races, they'll have done the training things that they're as much as they can do kind of in a few days ahead of the races, but you've not quite got that experience of having run on it maybe quite a few times over the course of maybe kind of even as a junior or early senior parts of your career that maybe would be equaled out by just how much emphasis is placed on preparation for a World Championships.
I mean, of course, the advantage in a World Cup race is bigger running on home soil, but still it doesn't change the fact that you have the confidence in you. And this one, like, if you're running on home soil, I think the confidence in your ability to being able to handle the terrain is bigger compared to the runners who kind of had to adapt to it the year before. So I think you still have this advantage, but then of course you have other factors playing in as well, that you might be a bit more nervous because there's at the World Championships, because there is the World Championships on home soil, and that might only happen once in a lifetime. So there are other factors, and you don't really have them in a World Cup race. So the World Cup race is kind of relaxed. I mean, if there's not as much attention on it for the runner, especially in Italy. I don't think the media is so much chasing him down the days before a World Cup race. So it's kind of a relaxed situation, and for him running a World Cup on home soil is definitely a good thing.
All right, Ollie Oyanaho here into control number 14. It's 1:12 down, so lost over a minute. He was only 2 seconds behind Riccardo Scalet at the 6th control, so lost a lot of time there. And so we're going to have a look and see. So there's a mistake there to 7, just slightly overshooting.
And you see here, we have Reynolds as well. We know that he has had a good race until the third last control, I guess it was. Here another mistake, or he got kind of stuck there, losing time, or you know. And here the GPS stopped.
Yeah. I think, you're right. Just getting stuck between those rocks is really proving to be, it's like you're just putting on the brake, because, really going backwards when you get stuck in those rocks. Luca Basset then, will he be able to join the other French teammates towards the top? No, it looks like he's lost time here, more than a minute down at this point. And I think soon we'll be seeing the likes of Miloš Nikodym, Riccardo Scalet in towards the finish. The next 5 minutes or so. See if they're going to take new leading times. We'll watch out for them. Another of these young Finns you're talking about.
Good start here. Jonas Aula. Only 13 seconds behind at control 4. Still a few meters to go. Maybe 20 seconds behind now. And I think we will have Skelet to the finish very soon.
Otherwise, Mika Kimmela out of the start as well. 7th place in Thursday's long distance.
Also 7th place at the World Championships in middle distance. But let's take Ricardo Skelet to the finish here. I think this will be a new best time. Yes, it will. For sure.
I think this is going to be new best top 2 times for Ricardo Skelet and Milos Nikodym, the two of them running together. I think they're also, catching up more runners here as well. So they will go into the new top 2 times. I think they're just catching Robert Merle as well there, who we've seen. And yeah, look at that, Skelet, a whole 2 minutes ahead of anybody else at control 18, and that other person there is Milos Nikodym, who's just running behind him. So those two are significantly ahead of the current leader, Ralph Street, as well. So Ricardo Skelet maybe having the race of his career so far here. Really done well to catch that time and still be leading. In fact, he's still leading around the whole course. There's still another 45 minutes before we have our last starters set off, but then we've got the last 2. I've never seen a horse out in a World Cup orienteering before, but there we go. As Ricardo Skelet just powering in here. He looks really, really strong to be taking some of that distance away from Milos Nikodym and getting all those cheers from that home crowd here as he makes his way on this long run in all the way through to the finish line. But it is going to be a new leading time then for the Italian here in Italy, in the Dolomites. This fantastic terrain, and he's really worked hard all around the course. Look, he's taken meters out of Nikodym as well. Collapses, somersaults over the line. The new fastest time by a very impressive 2 minutes 41 seconds, 32:27. Really is good.
And you could really see how satisfied he is with the run. He was pushing so far away from Milos Nikodym, and you see it there. I think he can be very, very satisfied with his run. And if you look at the time, 32 minutes 27, the expected winning time was 35 minutes. Of course, we got that indication early in the run that when we saw that Nicolas Rio already reached 35 minutes, that we might get faster times than 35 minutes, but 32:27, that's really a good time. And as you said before, he was leading at all the TV splits here. So let's see if we find someone who's able to beat that.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Here's the recap then, those standings at the finish. Ricardo Skelet and Milos Nikodym both come in to take the top 2 spots at this point, but that good 2 minute gap then, and 2 minutes 41 ahead of the old leader Ralph Street, really starts to eat into that expected winning time. And really fantastic performance there from Ricardo Skelet, getting some congratulations on the line from Nikodym, from Mel. Nikodym, he knows what it's like to do well at a World Cup on home soil and can appreciate the effort put in there. Here is Albin Riederfelt, though, as we look back in. As we said, the top runners have still yet to start, though. So we will not get too far ahead of ourselves and see how well they're able to match it.
I would definitely say that Riederfelt also is one of the top runners. He was 12th at the World Championships. And I mean, he might not have done many mistakes here in the beginning. It's only 37 seconds, the gap between, but it is 37 seconds. So it's it's looking promising for at least the top 10 here for Skelet. Looks good here for Bielefeld as well. No hesitating here either. So at this point, we saw Skelet taking some steps, walking up here to the control, checking the map really carefully. Might be one of the reasons why he lost 4 seconds. the same time, you can also see that it's sometimes good to do the map reading in the uphills, and because there, if you just walk a few steps, you don't lose as much time compared to when you do that in other parts of the race.
So we can compare then Riedefeld.
Different routes here to control 7. And Riedefeld. What? Did a small mistake there. Seen that earlier on the GPS replay. So soon we will have Oyenau to the finish as well. Just a bit here in this section, drifting away from direction. Kirmala at control 4, just a bit too high up the hill there. Only 20 seconds behind at control 4.
Yeah, and quite a few of those seconds just lost by being a bit too high to that control. So,
but you could see that he had a good route there. At control 4, he was not running around this route choice on the path. You can really hear him breathing as well.
Maybe taking a leaf out of Olaf Lundenes's book.
But it's kind of a mental thing as well, because it's kind of a way to show yourself that you're pushing hard by doing this, and reminding yourself to really give everything in physically. It's not only I think they could run without breathing that loud, but it's kind of something you get used to. You start to do it, and to prove yourself that you're pushing really hard at this moment.
And I guess it can kind of, keep your focus on yourself. You know, when you can hear yourself, you're not hearing distractions around. You can just remind that you need to...
And take the focus from everyone around you, maybe.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, I can imagine that'd be very annoying to run next to. But Kimmler then into joint third, same time as Albin Riedefeld at that point.
That's not Gernot Imsen.
No. It's Timo Sills.
Yeah.
Timo Sild, who was took maybe a little bit of a surprise 5th place in the long in Idre in the last World Cup rounds in Sweden. Really impressive performance for him then. And we will take then Olli Ojanaho then into the finish. Remember, we saw those times where he lost a bit of times. Was it control number 10, I think it was?
Control 7.
And small miss to 7, and then kind of getting stuck in amongst the rocks to number 10.
I think it was, it was towards control 10. Otherwise, it was a good race. Olli now not too far behind. I mean, it's 1:22. It's quite a lot of time, but still he had a few mistakes there as well. Good speed here.
It will be the second spot though, and good final finishing section. Running that long stretch alone, he will go second place, so 1:24. So, but if you compare, he was only, he was still second at control number 6. So only 2 seconds behind Skelet at that point, then just dropping down there.
Yeah, he was running much more around here towards control 15. Gets quite a good entrance there. It's not much up and down if you go that much around. Of course, it's more distance you have to run. This is Simon Imark from Sweden. Very good start here. To control 4, only 6 seconds behind.
Yeah, second fastest then at that point. Only Riccardo Scalet was quicker.
It's 27th in the long distance. So he looks very smooth in his orienteering here. No hesitating. Approaching the control or leaving the control. And that will be tight here. Maybe 2 or 3 seconds behind.
Yeah, just one. Really tight. So yeah, one of the closest to get to Imark, to Scalet, sorry, and obviously Janaho was only a couple of seconds down there, as you can see, but losing that time in the middle section of the course has pushed him down the leaderboard a bit. So Scalet still with that good leading spot right at the beginning part of this course.
And we were talking about the Finnish team. You see here 5 Finnish runners. This first page.
So we've got Eskil Skinneberg here from Norway. Out of the start, 6th place in the long distance. Former middle distance world champion back from 2018. But not had a great season this season. Timo Sild though. Again, not a blistering start, but not losing too much time though. There with Grace Malloy. Ooh, now he's got to be careful not to go too many steps straight on from the control.
Well, I think it's a bit easier to get up this.
It is. There's a few branches in the way, weren't there? Yeah. Got to pick your lines. Yeah, whilst there's not too many, there's not very much undergrowth, at least not in this part of the course that we can see, and not by the other TV split either, then there are quite a lot of brushings, fallen branches and stuff that you just have to, use a little bit of your attention and your focus to kind of make sure you're not falling over every 3 steps. Simon Hector took the 3rd place in the middle distance at the last World Cup round. They're very surprised 3rd place for him in that race of filled with drama, filled with mistakes. He managed to keep it clean, a very kind of different set of challenges there and compared to here, where we haven't seen as many mistakes.
Look at Riedefeld here. He was actually able to catch 26 seconds compared to Scalet. He's only 6 seconds behind at the pre-warning. So this will be very, very tight here for the leading position in the finish. Should be there very, very soon.
Yeah, it's going to be
So
really
now
tight.
we'll
But
see him very soon in the picture, I guess.
so yeah, Riedefeld, and he's with a few others who's caught up as well, which is always helpful, I think, on the finish to have a few caught up. Topi Sirilainen and Timo Suter as well. And got to push really, really hard now because, as you can see there, only 7 seconds between Skelet and Riedefeld at the control 18. That's the last one that's actually in the forest. But it looked like Riedefeld really had a fantastic run in and wasn't really budging. And you can see actually he's been overtaken by Suter there as well. So maybe not an indication that he's not going quite as quickly up the run in as maybe as Skelet. We'll see.
Will be tight here, but I don't think that he will be fast enough. Let's see, only 5 seconds to go. So there, the time's out for Riedefeld.
No, it's not going to be quicker. Skelet is safe. Still keeps the leading time, and Riedefeld, yeah, you can see actually him having lost time on this run-in compared to the Italian. So maybe that kind of gives us maybe an indication for some of the later runners that that Skelet just was blindingly quick over the last section, but still a very credible second place. 17 seconds down on Skelet shows still a pretty good time.
And it gives us also an indication that you actually can win back time there, or you that Skelet lost some time between the control 14 and 18. My guess is that it might have been on the long leg between 14 and 15 because we didn't really see any bigger mistakes after that. So now we are with Doug Blanchan. 48 seconds behind here at control 4. That's quite a lot already. At position 23. Yeah, if you are within half a minute at control 14, there's a chance that you can take over the lead in the finish.
But Doug Blanchen will be outside 30 seconds at control number 6. One of those Norwegians who's raced quite a few World Cups now. Made his senior debut at the World Cup in Switzerland in 2019, but not going to get selected for the World Championships, where it's much smaller teams at this point of his career. But such is that great depth of the top nations that they can be still competing very, very strongly internationally. Let's have a little look at the trackings.
Yeah, we know that he lost about 47 seconds here in the beginning. Let's see, already a few seconds here towards control 1. A few more to control 2. It looks kind of consistently here. It's not really missing the route to control 4 either. Must come another small mistake or hesitation here, down here to control 4. Yeah, here he loses quite a lot of time again. Let's say 10 seconds only in the circle. So not the best start for Doug Blanchan.
And for me, it looks like he's got good speed on the flat, but not necessarily good speed on the climb or the steeper parts of the descent.
Like a lot of hesitation in the orienteering when he's coming close to the controls, and that's not really a good sign here in the beginning, because the characteristics of the course won't change a lot.
Martin Hubman though here. Speedily out from the start. 14th in Thursday's long distance. It's Marianne Andersen, I think, from Norway. And
Eskilshinneberg.
Eskilshinneberg as well. There we go. And he is 33 seconds down. Still in that top 10. But it feels now from here you're going to have had a quick start to be able to really feature.
Let's see where Shinneberg lost those 33 seconds. Maybe something here to control 2, only a few seconds. Hesitating here to control 3 a bit. Exiting the control in a good way. Must have missed that control 4, I guess. And down here through the cliffs. Oh, not really. Losing a bit of time here in the downhill. No visible mistake here, but just losing a bit of time when he gets close to the controls.
Right, we can follow Martin Regon in, but he has, lost time kind of throughout the whole course, to be honest. Ricardo Scalet still leading all the way around, and maybe, it's not going to be his day today, after the really great performance on Thursday. Just as you can see, just losing time in small increments throughout. So Martin Regon goes into the 4th spot, 2 minutes slower than Ricardo Scalet, still leading there.
And he is 25 seconds behind Ricardo Scalet to that point of the course.
Martin Regon, quarta posizione, ha guadagnato 2 secondi al pilone dall'arrivo, 1 minuto e 59.
Max Petterbeimer
Was on 10th position in the long distance. 34 seconds behind here at control 4. So this is a little bit too much.
See him really looking around there. Kind of, a bit just wanting to get his bearings kind of as he goes over that ridge, and then obviously you can spot the control very nicely. Then out, up towards the left, no problems. So looking pretty good through this section, but it's some time lost, 40 seconds lost earlier on.
About half a minute here behind. This is interesting. This is Simon Imark, and he's still going strong here, only 13 seconds behind at control number 12. We also know that Riedefeld was faster than Scalet between control 14 and the pre-warning. So there is a chance here for Imark to be a threat for Scalet. But actually we haven't seen so many runners running faster than Scalet to the pre-warning. It's basically Albin Riedefeld. And here we have Jonas Ahola. Had quite a good race here. throughout the course. Bit more than a minute behind. Could almost match the speed of Skalett from control 12 to the finish.
In August in Sweden. So let's see now, 32:51. Jonas Arnold.
Yeah, but again, I think losing time between control 18 and the end, what's that, 13 seconds, I think shows you just the really quick speed that Skalett had. So even if you're ahead coming out of the forest, you've really got to have enough in your legs left, enough in your lungs to race well on that final section. But yeah, pretty solid round there, Luca Bassi. So he actually was caught by the Finn. As you can see then, down be about 4 minutes slower than Skalett.
And also to mention that we have got a new February among the women to the first TV speed.
So we'll see soon the likes of Nika Kimmler home, Simon Immark. Here's Martin Hubman, control 4. Plus 26 at the moment. Again, you can see him kind of looking around.
Can see many of the runners losing between 25 and 35 seconds in the very beginning, and then not losing so much time in the very end of the course. So it's a very decisive part of this race here.
Do you think that's because they're maybe using those first few controls to kind of get into it, get into the feeling, get into the map, where you saw, and if you contrast that with Skalett, who just was able to attack it really, really hard and just didn't really feel like he needed to kind of spend that extra time getting into the course? I don't know.
I think it's very decisive. There are two parts very decisive on this first part. It's first of all that you don't run around towards control 4, and then that you find a good track into control 4 when you run downhill there, because you see many runners being more or less as fast as Skalett just before control 4, but then in the slope down to control 4 through the stony area and the cliffs there, then they lose time. And I think it's very important that you have a good entrance there to control 4. And otherwise on the other controls, it's quite good runnability all the way to the control. So I think this control 4 there is quite a decisive one.
Yeah, I think you're right. You've got to find the good line. You've got to have absolutely no fear in the descent. I mean, we've got that camera there. We know how steep it is just at that particular point. So that's particularly, got to have no fear.
Interesting here. Gernot Imsin still going strong here. 51 seconds behind at control 12. That's 4th position. Had a good run also in the long distance. Finished 9th there. Has quite a good season actually. Was 13th at the World Championships in the middle distance.
Yeah, 19th in the long as well. So the 38-year-old kind of reaching close to his best orienteering. And a good little section then from 12 to 14, actually catching time there, only 43 seconds down. Really strong. Florian Hovald here then. He was 8th on Thursday's long distance, but his best individually seems to be his best individual performance seems to come in middle distance races. It seems to suit him a bit more.
This could actually be a terrain that could suit him. Quite stony, many features on the map. He's a very technical runner, a strong runner. So I think this could suit him quite well here. We're waiting for Doug Blanchen. He was 44 seconds behind. At control 6. Kind of walking. Is it? I don't think that's Doug Blanchen. Think. No.
I think that might be him further back. No, completely miss it now. Well, it is a gorgeous forest to look at, so there you go. Even if we can't currently see any runners on it, there's
I'm not
somebody.
sure. I don't think it's Doug Blanchen. No, it isn't.
So we give up
Yeah.
waiting for Doug Blanchen. We'll have a look at Emil Svensk instead, who is on his way out of the start, and now we are really kind of getting into our top runners here. Although Emil Svensk didn't have as great a long distance on Thursday. He was, though, 5th in the long distance at the World Champs and 10th in the middle distance. And we'll be looking to put together a good race. We've also had
And
Adam
especially-
Heimdall has also gone off. He was 4th in the long distance on Thursday as well. Really good from him.
Yeah, and now we found him, Doug Blanchen, here in the picture. Also found Eskil Skinneberg just behind.
So Eskil Skinneberg's caught Doug Blanchen up by 2 minutes, but you can see Skinneberg is also 1 minute and 33 behind. So Doug Blanchen 1 minute 33, you would say, behind. And Eskil Skinneberg, after a good start, has dropped. Yeah, lost a minute there. It'll be good to see on the tracking. I'm sure we will get a chance to have a look. We'll follow him now to the 14th control. See Doug Blanchen just hesitating there. Skinneberg much better, kind of hits that path and goes straight on up, and you can spot the top of the hill, as you can see there from quite a long way away. You just have to kind of point yourself in that direction and get up to the top of the hill, which they both done.
I hope we will
Now we'll
stay
see this
here
long leg.
at control, between control 12 and 14, because we are very soon we'll see Simon Hector punched at control 12. So they are 42 seconds behind on position 4. Here we have him. So that's a good race here. A Swedish runner.
Yeah, not lost that much time between 6 and 12.
Yeah, and we know that there is the potential to catch a few seconds between control 14 and 18. Maybe not
And a
42
lot of people have
seconds,
been-
but still. Yeah.
A lot of people have actually been catching time between 12 and 14 as well.
Yeah.
Just catching just a few seconds. So there's an opportunity to catch theirs. It's what we've just seen Eskil Skinneberg do, catch a few seconds up there. So it wasn't it just shows, yeah, it wasn't a clean one from Skelett, and there is the opportunity for runners to make an impact there. So he was 42 seconds behind. Let's see, just checking maybe the routes there on his way up to 14th. And I say that he's actually lost time.
Yeah, and you see now we will switch to Florian Hovald here. He was only 3 seconds behind at control 4, on his way up the hill towards control 6 now, so this is a very good start by Florian Hovald.
Yeah, really attacking start, though we've not seen that many people walk up that section of the hill, to be honest.
But as long as you
kind of come around that boulder.
Yeah, as long as you use the time when you're walking to read the map, it's more okay to do it, but you see that he lost 7 seconds here in that section. 10 seconds behind still, that's a good start.
Yeah, so some good speed, but some hesitations in there as well. From one Swiss to another, Daniel Hubman. And now we're really getting, of course, to the sharp end. Daniel Hubman currently 3rd in the World Cup standings, and 3rd place in yesterday's long distance race as well. So he's certainly got the tools to be able to put together a fantastic middle distance, where we would expect Casper Foster to be not quite as dominant as he has been in the long distance races of recent times. But Simon Imark then here through to the last section. But, well, you said there is an opportunity to make up some time from controls 14 to 18. There's also an opportunity to lose a lot of time, and that's exactly what he's done.
I wonder if he did a small mistake, because you can see him, he's not really pushing that hard. Of course he's pushing hard, but you can, if you compare his body language to the one that Ricardo Scalette had before, you could see that he really was fighting for the race of his life, and you don't really have the same feeling for Simon Imark. But still, it's a good run. It'll be interesting to see if he lost some time there, if he did a small mistake between 14 and 18. But you can also see that he only lost 7 seconds here between 18 and finish, so it's... Oh, and then he is having the head at the place you wouldn't want to have the head, actually. Yeah.
Well spotted. Yeah, no, maybe someone needs to tell him that.
It's kind of a shitty place there.
Right, we have Matthias Kubert here at the start. He is the second to last starter. And there is the opportunity for him to, I guess, take a new... He's still mathematically possible for him to be able to win the World Cup and take another World Cup overall title in his career, but Casper Foster with a big lead, so there's still all to play for. You've got to be in it to win it, and he's going to certainly give that a good chance after his 2nd place in the long distance. He is, of course, also the middle world champion.
And talking about a champion, this start here was really, really strong by Emil Svensk. We have often seen that from him, that he has sections in the course where he is really strong. For example, the long distance at the World Championships, he really messed up the first half of the course, but he was the fastest runner on the second half. For him, the challenge often is to get it right throughout the whole course. There's often one control where he's losing a lot of time, so let's see if he can have a more consistent race today. But he has definitely the speed to be very fast in this race here. That's a really, really good start here.
Yeah, fantastic start then. 13 seconds is the gap, and he's the first one to go quicker than Ricardo Scalette, who still is our leader at the finish. So that's really, really significant there, the first one to go quicker.
Interesting here, I'm seeing also he was faster between 14 and 18. 13 seconds compared to Ricardo Scalette. Very good race here by Gernot Imsin. So I think he is fighting for a 3rd position. The gap between Scalette and Riedefeld, 17 seconds. Let's see, maybe there's a chance to be on 2nd position here.
Yeah, he's fighting really hard, pushing really hard, and backing up a great long distance result with another great run here in this terrain. Evidently suits him really well. He's got a lot of confidence. But now he's going to fight really hard, cheered on by his Austrian teammates. And you can see he just kind of, he brings it up a gear then, doesn't he? He's really going to going out and just stepping it up to get all the way into the finish. And it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be into a solid third place there. So 35 seconds behind Riccardo Scalet. Yeah, as you said, dropping 5 seconds on that last bit, but that's pretty good there, I think. And we just see Kasper Fosse, the final starter, new king of the long distance world champion, and he nearly runs the wrong way out of the start.
He was running
it's not a good start, is it?
No, but he was running towards the start flag. Actually, you have to pass the starting flag, so it's kind of a definition, a matter of definition how close you have to be to the starting flag. But he was very distinct, heading towards the heading towards the starting flag there.
Yeah.
I don't think he was about to go on the wrong direction, actually.
No, he was just making his way very directly there. Joey Hadorn then, plus 22 seconds, so in 5th spot. Certainly made a better start to this course than he did the long distance. I don't know if you've seen the GPS tracking, but there was a big mistake from him to control number 1. I think he finished in 72nd place, exactly 34 minutes slower than Kasper Fosse on that long distance. I would imagine once you'd made such a howler as he did in number 1, then he's not going to go full gas around the rest of the course like that. So, but it was a shame to see Joey Hadorn, who we've seen him take multiple wins recently on the World Cup circuit in the middle distance race, including in Sweden, the last round. So we know he's got great middle distance form, particularly when it all goes right. I know he was, particularly glad to back up that win. His first World Cup win was in Switzerland, his second one in Sweden, just kind of showing that you can do it across that Scandinavian terrain as well. But let's have a look. Daniel Hubman, though, has actually had a better start than Joey Hadorn.
16 seconds behind at control 4. It's a 4th position. So interesting, talking about Hubman, Martin Hubman at control 14, only 35 seconds behind, so he was able to actually run faster from control 6 to control 14. But back to Daniel Hubman here.
You can see just how carefully he's reading the map as we were talking on the kind of the entrance to that control. No hesitations, and actually staying very high up in the line there. Matthias Kiberts. You can see just how much he's looking to his right to get this. He must be on the way to control number 4.
Is he coming from the way around here? Then I guess that he lost some time.
I think he has. Yeah, I think he's gone around on the path. It would be a very Kiberts thing to do.
Kiberts-esque to
yes.
go around there. So let's see the time. 24 seconds 24. Behind, I think.
Well, we were saying, weren't we? It was about 25 seconds, I think, slower to go around that bit than just the direction he's approached control.
Yeah, compared to many of the other runners going around, the gap isn't too big. But still, it's 24 seconds. Of course, that's a big disadvantage for the controls coming.
No, but when you're racing for the win, then 24 seconds on a middle distance is,
it's quite a lot. But yeah, I mean, a lot of things have to happen for him to be able to win the overall World Cup. I think he was more eager to save the second position here. There's only 14 points between him and Daniel Hubman, but it's 77 points between Fosser and Kiburz, so it actually has, I think Fosser has to be outside top 20 and Kiburz has to win. And to even have a chance to win it, he has to be the winner or end up in second position here.
Yeah, so we'll all attempt to do some quick maths. Although if Casper Fosser wins it, then we don't need to bother with
Yeah.
maths. It's quite easy. But
I mean, if
and
he's within top 20, we don't have to do any math. So it's
that's true. Well, Casper Fosser has looks like he took the straight route through to that control, to control number 4, which looks to be good. But he's still 16 seconds down. Emil Svensk then still with a great start at that point, but it looks very quick through to the controls. And we'll soon see him kind of coming up over the ridge. There we go. And you can kind of see where others have made those lines in there, straight out and straight up. And what I think I noticed, Casper Fosser had such a great downhill speed as well on that long distance. I think the really, really long leg, I think it was control number 19, he was running like 4:12 minutes per kilometre on that leg. Everybody else about 4:43, 4:45, the next quickest ones in that leg. And I mean, just that downhill speed on that, there's just the meters and meters of downhill on that big long leg, just I think showed you his strength there. So still those 16 seconds down, equal time then to Daniel Hubman, but certainly not out of it after that start. Still in contention.
That's Simon Hector into 5th position, 1:14 behind. Another good race by the Swedish runner, who was the surprise in Idre. Now we had another good race here.
Yeah, looking from the splits, just kind of losing a few seconds every single time, but nothing too dangerous or too damaging there. As we take another look at those results now. Of course, we have everybody now through split number 1. We'll soon have everybody through split number 2 as well. And this race is just thick and fast and furious because, of course, we've got it's very quick. We're already under the expected winning time. Florian Hovald here is also late.
Yeah, but he's still within those 30 seconds. We said that it's where you have a chance to be a threat for Ricardo Scalet, because he was losing time between 14 and 18. A bit of hesitating here. 35 seconds. Yeah.
And we also know Scalet wasn't particularly quick between 12 and 14, so... Max Petterbeimer, though, into the finish. And he is going to be, lost a bit of time on the last section as well, just kind of increments of time throughout. And looks like he's just going to make it inside the top 10 so far. Max Petterbeimer from Sweden applauded into the finish, where he will go into 8th spot then.
And soon we are waiting.
Run in as well.
Soon we are waiting for Emil Svensk to control 12. But here we are with Auden Heimdal.
Alden Heimdall with 4th place in the long distance. He's also a really good ski orienteer as well, a 24-year-old. Made the final of the European Champs knockout sprint. And I think one of those names to watch out for as they progress in the senior side of things. Really made some good improvement over the pandemic and to be having a really good season 2021. Yeah, and had a good section then, just 12 to 14, catching up a few seconds. And not too much hesitation on the way then out of that control for this long leg.
And here we have Emil Svensk. Now he lost time. He's 31 seconds behind at control 12.
And he is looking around.
Yeah, it doesn't look too smooth. It's a bit what we were talking about before, that he... If you just look at some sections isolated in a course, he can be really quick, but often at one point in the race he loses a lot of time, or in this case, I mean a lot of time. 45 seconds is quite a lot of time in the middle distance.
Yeah, and that was even before those hesitations into control 13 that we just saw, so yeah.
But still, we have Ricardo Scalet in the lead. And there are not many runners to come who can actually be a threat for him. We have Hoopman, we have Fosse, we have Hadorn, Kiburz, and maybe Hovald. And I think the others, they have lost too much. Yeah, and here's another hesitation. That doesn't look too good here in this section.
No, he's found the top of the hill now, looking, you can see the refolding of the map just to get through to the next section, the next leg, but yeah.
Then we know
honestly,
also
I'm
that
quite
it was
surprised he's not lost more time.
Yeah, but we also know that it
12 to
wasn't
14.
Scalet's best part either.
That's true.
We have
Martin
Martin
Hubman.
Hoopman.
4th place then,
position,
49.
yeah. Quite a consistent race. He was already 38 seconds behind at control 4. So from there he actually only lost 11 seconds to the finish.
Yeah, I think that just shows you how, I think maybe how impressive Ricardo Scalet's start of the course was. Particularly, a lot have been able to keep pace with him around the second part of the course, but he just managed to take so much time out of people in that first section. And Hadorn is, you know, similar time down compared to Emil Svensk here, but looking much better through this particular section anyway.
We have seen so many runners here between control 12 and 14 that have had between 30 and 40 seconds disadvantage compared to Ricardo Scalet. So it was really this first section, the very beginning of the course, that was decisive so far. Would be important now for Hadorn to win a few seconds back here to control 14. Looks good for him. Let's see here. Has to go on the very top of the hill, yes. It
I was
looked
about to
good in
think
the
he was
beginning.
winning seconds back and then he's lost
Yeah, but he
them
won
again.
seconds back, that's the thing.
Yeah, he would have been like
yeah.
one at least 10 seconds back, but no. He's kind of getting ahead of himself, I think, or not quite realizing the control's right at the top of the hill. Yeah, then dropping down quite a lot then before going into control 15. Maybe he's going to head
So
towards
now
the path.
we are waiting for Hoopman, Daniel Hoopman.
So back into the top 3 then. And Hubman has also lost time. 45 seconds down. I want to know where all these guys are losing time here, and he's kind of just being very careful on the way up. There's going to be no problem with this one, but just doesn't seem to be quite, well, you know, he's taking a lot of pauses on the hills. I guess, obviously, as we said before, that when you're climbing the hills is where you do want to take your pauses if you're gonna take them where you want to read the map and everything. But I wonder if that just means he's kind of losing a couple of seconds here and there. But he does look much better through that section. Definitely if you compare to Emil Svensk, and as long as he doesn't make a faff of the top of this hill, he'll look better than Joey Hadorn as well. Look, puts Simon Imark's position into good stead there as well. But he was 5th. You know, he lost a lot of time towards the latter stages, so he's currently 5th at the finish.
Talking about runners who look better than others, here it looks really good for Matthias Kiburtz. He turned around this race so far, and now he's in the lead, 9 seconds ahead of Ricardo Scalet, 10 seconds even, at control 12. So he must have had a really good section here between control 6 and 12.
Yeah, he's the first one to go faster than Scalet at control number 12 at our pre-warning for this TV control, and that is really decisive, although it looks like he doesn't want to drop too much height there, just trying to be careful on this section. Pick up this path, and then you can spot the top of the hill from here and make your way up, I think. He's looking around a lot, maybe thinking about... well, I hope he's thinking about the control 15 rather than this one. Yeah, there we go. He spotted it. Not quite as distinct for me on that control, to be honest, but he does go still into a new leading time.
Yeah, and talking about leading times, because
Oh.
now things are happening. I think we'll see it very soon in the picture. We have a new leader at control 12.
Yeah, we've only got one more runner to come through this control 12. It is, of course, Casper Fossa. Ricardo Scalet is all sitting, looking very happy underneath that mask. He's got his fingers crossed. Maybe he's hoping for a Hannah Lundberg moment. You never know. But here he is. Here's the final starter. Here is Casper Fossa. And look at that, 34 seconds quicker than Matthias Kiburtz, who already was 10 seconds quicker than Ricardo Scalet at that point at control number 12. So it's looking really, really good for Casper Fossa to take 2 out of 2 here and cement his first ever World Cup title on his first full season as a senior, of course.
And look at the speed he has uphill here.
Oh.
It's really something special now. Look at this here, just 21 seconds.
How can you take 21 seconds out of
on that time? We've seen other runners winning around 10 seconds compared to Scalet. We saw that Kiburtz lost 22 seconds. No, let's see now. He was 10 seconds ahead. Yeah, he lost a few seconds compared to Scalet, so it wasn't Kiburtz's best section there, but still it was very strong by Casper Fossa, now leading by almost 1 minute here.
That's really impressive. A whole minute with only 19 minutes 38 seconds run. That is really, really good start intention from Casper Fossa. We'll look at Florian Hovard now, and he has got much closer then to Scalet, and we know there's the chance to catch up time, although actually now we're looking at compared to, forget that. because obviously his early ones are now compared
But
to
he got
Kasper
closer.
Foster. He did get
got
closer,
closer,
there we
yeah.
go. So, but it looks like, yeah, he's definitely going to be outside the top 2, maybe even the top 3 by the time he comes through to the finish. Florian Hervald working hard here. It's going to be slower than Gernot Insane, though. And the Swiss cowbells are out. He will go into 4th place, I think. Just ahead of Martin Hubman. There we go. Yep, into 4th place.
And now we have some shaky moments for Ricardo Scalet waiting here. There's Hupman out there, there's Svensk out there, Hadorn, Kiburtz and Fosser, and he's still in the leads.
Right on cue. Oh, yeah. Oh, needs to be my Italy strip. There we go. And we'll now see
And then
Alton
Heimdall.
Heimdall into the finish.
But he's not a
he's
threat.
Yeah, no. He is too far down at this point.
But still, again, it's a good race by Alton Heimdall. He was 4th in the long distance. And here another good race by the Norwegian.
Yeah, and I think that's a real mark of a successful season where you've got that type of consistency, really, across the World Cup circuit that maybe will turn into multiple kind of top 20s, top 10s. Then you've really got to be happy with that. So behind Alton Heimdall, we have Emil Svensk, Joey Hadorn, Daniel Hubben, Matthias Kiburtz and Kasper Foster. So 5 runners after the Norwegian to come through, but one really flying Norwegian, the last starter, who has really put his mark on this competition.
But
And will have so much confidence after the 3.5 minute lead.
Yeah,
No,
I
3.5
think
minute lead, 5.5 minute lead.
I think that Svensk is a bit late at the last radio control. Don't have the punch there yet. Started 2 minutes behind Alton Heimdall. And he was 35 seconds behind Ricardo Scalet at control 14.
So 6th place then for the Norwegian. 5 runners yet to finish.
I think Svensk is late, so the next one we are waiting for then to be a threat, might be a threat, Joey Hadorn.
Yeah, we still haven't seen Emil Svensk, and we're still waiting for Joey Hadorn. I haven't seen his time coming up, or if it has, it's dropped a long way down.
Let's see if we can spot someone there. Is it the Swedish Kit?
I would go with yes.
Yes.
It looks blue-ish.
But he is late. Emil Svensk lost about a minute there. No, 1.5 minutes. He's now 2 minutes and 14 behind. Position 17.
Yeah, I can only think there must be a mistake there. Well, we saw how much time he kind of dropped between 12 and 14, those hesitations. He's actually still, he's the quickest to controls 4 and 6.
Yeah,
then it kind of seems to go wrong from there. And I think it comes back to what you've been saying all along, like has some really good start to races, can go really well, but it can quite often lose a lot of time.
Svensk is 2 minutes and 14 seconds behind. 2 minutes behind Svensk. We had Joey Hadorn starting, so also he is late. Otherwise, he would be together here with Emil Svensk. So this, then it's only Hupman, Kiburtz and Fosser, who can be a threat for Ricardo Scalet.
And then once we have Daniel Hubman through, who I also think is late as well now.
He's still a chance, I guess.
Then is a medal for Scalet. What a turn up for the books. No, I think Daniel Hubman's late now as well. I want to get a wider shot of seeing who's coming in behind Svensk
Now we have Hadon punching there. 2 minutes and 18 seconds behind on 19th position. So he's behind Svensk.
Yeah, we can see him just coming through there, maybe, I think, in the background. But yeah, Svensk from leading at controls 4 and control 6. Just the time ticking by now for the Swede. And he will finish, though, in 17th spot. Disappointing when you've been so good right at the beginning part of the course. It's tricky. So we also are looking now for Joey Hadorn will be in very soon. We've had the pre-warning though for Daniel Hubman.
And we're waiting for Kiburtz.
Yeah, we are waiting for Kiburtz to see if he's going to take.
That's Hadorn, I guess, if we look at the running style. And Kiburtz, we have the punch.
And then I think behind we have Daniel Hubman.
Yeah, and we also have the punch at control 18. Matthias Kiburtz is 28 seconds ahead of Ricardo Scalet.
But Daniel Hubman is just under a minute down on Ricardo Scalet. So I think this is going to be a medal for the Italian. What an amazing achievement for Ricardo Scalet. Everything seems to be coming together. We will talk these Swiss runners into the finish, and we will start thinking about the World Cup overall, as we've also had the punch now from Kasper Fosser, the last control in the forest. So we'll soon see them all kind of processing in. Joey Hadorn here really fighting really hard all the way on this line, but Joey Hadorn is too far behind now, and now we compare Daniel Hubman. Now we are comparing him to the times of Kasper Fosser, who we've seen punch at this at that 18th control. Really working hard to get this. You can see he's already slower than Scalet, and we've still got this last long run in to go. 240 meters from the last control to the finish line. Hadorn into 16th then. We're looking for Daniel Hubman, we're looking for Matthias Kiburtz, and we were looking for Kasper Fosser. So Daniel Hubman here, he's also going to be outside the top 3, outside the medals today, even when he finishes with Kiburtz and Fosser to go. So we can say there is a medal for, and there is a 3rd place for Ricardo Scalet. What a fantastic run from the Italian. When you get someone starting that early and posting a quick time, you're never really quite sure how it's going to stack up. Daniel Hubman will go just slower than his younger brother into 6th spot, 53 seconds behind. But we're waiting for the flying Norwegian to come through very soon. Matthias Kiburtz will go quicker than Daniel Hubman, which means he will maintain his spot as 2nd in the World Cup overall. But you can see the Norwegian there in the rider picture. He is closing down on Matthias Kiburtz. Kiburtz will go quicker than Scalet here. And he looks like after a kind of a tricky start, he managed to catch up some time on the Italian. He will go take the new lead here, but it's going to be a short-lived lead, 32.01, as very soon we're going to look and see Kasper Fosser chasing down Matthias Kiburtz. Here he is, here's the final starter. He was leading the World Cup standings going into this race, having won all the long distances on this World Cup circuit, and he is going to back that up with a win here in the last individual race of the season. Kasper Fosser What a season. His first full season as a senior has been so incredible in the Forest. And he will take the clear win today. 30 minutes, 37 seconds. 1 minute 24 quicker than Matthias Kibert, and just that speed. Look at that smile on Kasper Foss's face, and he's managed to take the overall World Cup win in 2021.
Yeah,
Goodness me.
I mean, he won't be too surprised about winning the World Cup after the long distance race and the big gap we had before the race here. But he's just showing another time here how good he is, how good his shape is, and he's just dominating the World Cup this year. I mean, you could read both Matthias Kiburt's and Daniel Hoopman's statements after the long distance, and they said both that they had technically and physically good races. So, and still he won by 5.5 minutes, and today he's winning by 1 minute and 24 in front of Kiburt, who had a good race as well. I mean, he's might have taken a bad route choice to the fourth control, but otherwise it seemed to be quite a good race. And then the big surprise on the third position, Ricardo Scalet with a medal here. You said that we might have to do some calculations here. They made it very easy for us because they had more or less the order of the World Cup into the finish here. Kasper Fosser was in the lead, and then Kiburtz on second place, and Hoopman beating Hadon beating Svensk. So it was not really something to calculate here. We have the top three, Fosser, Kiburtz and Hoopman, also in the overall World Cup. Yeah, it was a fun race, even though we had a lot of action in the very end, and a leader leading for a long time throughout the race before Ricardo Scalet. Yeah, he followed us almost the whole broadcast time here from the top, and then the last 30 seconds we had two new leaders, the only time in the race more or less.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when someone kind of puts in an outstanding performance as well. We've also got, I want to shout out Gernot Insane for the 5th place there for the 38-year-old. Really strong performance, kind of getting back to what was his best earlier in his career. And we had Alden Heimdall, also again another top 10, 9th spot for him. Simon Imark, 10th, Simon Hector 11th. That's really great news for some of those Swedish runners who wouldn't necessarily always get first picks at, say, like world champs there. And so here we can see confirmation then of those standings, or the final standings probably for the World Cup overall. Kasper Fosser, 460 points then overall, and I think we will hear from him now.
Kasper Fosser, today's winner and the winner of the World Cup 2021. How does it feel?
It feels amazing. It's really fun to finally do a solid middle distance this year. I feel like it's been my weak point this year, that I've often not quite reached my potential in the middle, but today everything went as planned, and yeah, I'm just really happy about this race.
Yeah, you didn't do any mistake today?
No, not at all.
Perfect race.
Yeah, no, I didn't feel like I did any mistakes at all. It was almost a perfect race for me.
You have had a fantastic season this year. Can you give us a highlight?
Yeah, it's been amazing, especially world champs, winning the long distance there. Yeah, this season has become more than I have had there to dream of, and yeah, I feel like I've taken a big step this year towards my end goal to be able to call myself the best orienteer in the world. That's the dream, and this year I've really taken some big steps, and that's super fun.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kasper, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, his first senior season was delayed a bit by the pandemic, but it was worth the wait because he has been so great. I mean, just looking at this World Cup result, the World Champs results, his worst race was a 5th in the middle distance, and he talks about not quite having perfect middle distance runs this year. And when that one was a 5th, I mean, yeah.
Talking about the end goal to be the best orienteer in the world, I just say congratulations. You are the best orienteer in the world at the moment.
at the moment, but there is something about having the longevity, you know, that we've seen from people. That's what they're really after. But anyway, we will pause that conversation because we will talk about longevity in orienteering in the top of the world very soon. I'm sure we will. But let's have a look at the women's map then.
Yeah, it's kind of the similar characteristics of the course. We have those short legs, many of them a bit in group, 2 or 3 controls together, and then a longer leg. Many changes in direction here, as we have seen in the men's course before, and then also in the women's race. Those 2 TV controls in the women's race is between control 3 and 5 and 8 and 10, and then the long leg, quite similar to the men's course, between 10 and 11, which was quite decisive. We could see, I mean, it wasn't really decisive towards the result, but we could see that, for example, Scarlett lost a lot of time compared to a few runners if you really were able to find the fastest track there, the fastest line towards control 13. And then also here we have this finish on the open fields, quite a long running leg here from 15 to 16, 17, and then to the finish. And you see the course has only 17 controls, not 20, compared to the men's race, so it's a bit shorter also kilometer wise. But I think yeah, let's see if the course here, if the course planner was able to really find those 35 minutes, or if it's a faster race even in the women's race here.
Yeah, my thought is it will be. We'll look through the latter end of the start list now. Again, the start list is defined by the World Cup standings. So of course we do have Tove Alexandersson going off last. Simona Abersold second to last. Hannah Lundberg is currently third in the standings. And I mean, really look at those, particularly those top 5 women. That's really where we're going to see the battles. But then, you know, Tove Alexandersson, so dominant at the World Championships. Didn't have a very good time for her very high standards in Sweden, but she's still winning the leading the standings.
But I mean, it's very tight here. We only have a difference of 5 points between Tove Alexandersson and Simona Abersold. So basically, it's the one beating the other here to win the overall World Cup. At least if one of them is within the top 5, which historically, I mean, the chance for that is very big.
Okay, so as we saw, we have Isia Basse, a current leader at the finish, sitting in that leader's chair, 37.09, so not quite gone as quick yet, but obviously we've got, I'd say there's probably fewer surprises in the women's class earlier on compared to the men, so I'd expect that time to come definitely down under those 35 minutes. Maybe it'll get close to the 30 like it did in the men's. Anyway, our current leader at controls, oh, and I have to change my head around to which controls it is. Controls 3 to 5 is actually Megan Carter-Davis, who's gone through those the fastest, quicker than Isia Basse. But Emma Biesmo is just 23 seconds down on Carter-Davis, so she was in second place at control number 3. So again, this is the section that we've seen quite a lot, and I don't think I'm that surprised to see Megan Carter-Davis taking that good early start. She's a very strong runner and did really well in the long distance race. I think it was a 12th spot for her. Yep, and of course she was on the podium in the long distance at the World Champs. 6th place for her. So a good start for her. And Emma Biesmo she was 24th in the long distance. And losing a few seconds to Carter-Davis on that particular point. Of course, we'll see them. These are common controls compared to the men, so we'll see them go through that same section. Teresa Janášíková, then for the Czech Republic, had her first top 10 at a World Cup. 9th spot for her. She was also a finalist in the European Champs knockout sprints. Made her first starts in the forest in the World Champs this year, previously having run sprints.
Mm.
And she too, similar time to Emma Biesmo then.
She recently moved to Finland for studying. It's kind of a change in the training setting there for Cansiglio. Would be interesting to see if how the route choice to control 3 here in the women's race, if it's if you lose time as well if you're running around, or if it's maybe the better option here in the women's race compared to the men's race. Know that he lost about 10 to 15 seconds if you ran around on the path or the street to control 4 it was in the men's race. But of course there are differences between the women's and men's races. I mean, it's even if it's kind of the same control, it's sometimes it's a bit faster going straight for in the men's class compared to the women's class, or the other way around could be as well. Depends a bit on the course planning.
So Cansiglio just losing a few seconds there compared to Biesmo. And compared to Carter Davis, who's still leading at this point, just maybe some small hesitations going up and over that ridge into control number 4. Here's Lina Strand.
She seems to have been running around there. Lost quite a lot of time here. Start section. 41 seconds, so she's on position 7.
Yeah, she's not had the best 2021. She was 40th in the long distance on Thursday. Ran the sprints at the World Champs, I believe, but has a long silver medal from the World Champs in Norway back in 2019. Working hard today. It may be interesting to say at this point that we've not got a couple of the top Swiss runners here on the women's side. We've not got Sabine Hausfit, we've not got Elena Ross, neither of them part of this team. I know Sabine Hausfit said she's not feeling very fit at this part of the season, so she didn't feel like she was able to compete at the high standard that she normally is at. And I think she's had a slightly subpar season for, again, her very, very high standards. So it'll be really interesting to see how, maybe with the absence of those, how some of the Swiss runners are able to step up and how the others are able to go. But here is Megan Carter Davis then. And she is still leading controls 3 and 5, and it has extended her lead at control number 8. And we're seeing her now on the way through to control number 10. Looks to be very solid here. She does a lot of training up in the Welsh Hills. And that's put her, I think, given her some really good hill climbing strength that showed in the Czech Republic and is going to show here today. And I know definitely in the Czech Republic, she very much had it in her head that she wasn't going to move from the control until she'd got the whole route to the next one. Because if you moved one step in one direction, it might bias you to going that particular way. And actually then you end up losing more time. So I wonder if that's kind of, she's employing those same tactics for the longer legs in today's race.
Yeah, exactly. It's very important that you said for the longer legs, because on the short legs it's basically straight on and you can see it quite easily. So it's okay that we saw her doing it at control 10. It would not have been a good sign in almost any of the other controls there. But I mean, she has quite a big lead here, so many things she's doing right today.
Yeah, I would be a bit worried if she was going to do that every single time. My goodness me, Maria Olausson, plus 13.40 Oh no, I kind of want to see what's happened now, because that is wow, it's not her day today at all after a 15th place yesterday, and she was part of that bronze medal winning relay team, the world champs, 7th in the long distance. She has been having, at least at the world champs, had a great season, but oof, that's painful.
She had an 11th place in the middle distance as well. Something must have happened here. Hope we will see it in the GPS replay.
Something must have happened at the beginning as well to be 3 minutes and 11 seconds down too. That's a long way. Such a shame for the Norwegian, who can be so quick.
Yeah, but another Norwegian not very quick here.
Yeah, Victoria Heistad Bjornstad, you can see he's at the top there. And I think that's Paula Gross at the bottom who's overtaken her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. You can kind of see as you look on that slope, you can see some of the good routes down towards the right.
Yeah, but what is she doing up? Oh no, she's coming down.
There she is.
Doesn't look very confident here. No, you're too up high in the hill here.
And
don't
now
know what she's afraid of.
She's looking ahead because she can see Paula Gross has run off.
Yeah, but I don't know what she's afraid of.
So now she's getting majorly distracted.
When running, she must think that she's too much to the left. Well, I don't really get it, what she thinks she's doing. She must have lost control over the situation totally, because coming from up there, you can't really be too much to the left, because then you would have a big cliff in front of you.
Yeah, that's tricky, but it feels like you've not got it, because you're kind of halfway up the slope. That control is, it looks like maybe it's near towards the bottom of the slope, but it's halfway up, so maybe she doesn't want to go too far down. But I think the fact that she's just seen Paula Gross running off from that control, having punched it, that is a big, a distraction, I think. But Paula Gross,
the fact that she's relying so much on Paula Gross shows me that she doesn't really have control over the situation.
Absolutely not. We just saw Caroline Olsen start there, but back with Paula Gross, who still is behind that time of Megan Carter-Davis. And for me, she's, again, not in control here. She's really got her head in her map quite a lot, and just not being distinct at this point, losing more seconds here. This is the one where you've got to head up, you've got to go between the two hills and make your way to the control. But yeah, losing, like 25 seconds in that short section's not a good idea.
This is Vera Klemetinen.
Who's caught some time on Megan Carter-Davis in the middle of the course. But actually is dropping back a bit more now compared to the Brit on this leg. And this climb up to the 10th control.
I think we had Victoria Heistad Bjornstad there. She punched the control 4 minutes behind.
And which means that's Lotta Kohola then as well, who's caught up. There she is. There's a
good start for Carola on second position here. Shared second position.
That's pretty good. And yeah, she was 10th in the long distance race. And here's Natalia Gempela, who took 3rd on Thursday in the long distance. She is a former middle distance world champion and will be looking to race this one really hard. And we have got Serena Kibberts here, who also had a fantastic run, 6th place for her.
Yeah, she had a really good run and was really satisfied with it. She had quite a good run at the World Championships as well, if you remember that. But she punched the men's control there in the middle, which was very close. She was not the only one. I think Jana Knapova punched it as well, did a mispunch there.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal to see that coming up on the GPS, to be honest, especially when you're having such a good run, you know. But 44 seconds behind at this point, and just, I think, a few kind of small stops to look at the maps and small hesitations into this control itself. Quickly see how much she's looking up ahead, get the line out of this control, this short one. As you said, maybe it's worth discussing again the kind of flow and the rhythm of this course that actually makes it a little bit easier for the athletes.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before when you saw the map of the course. It's very obvious that you have many times you have these groups of control, 2 or 3 controls, and many of the controls have kind of the same distance in between. Of course, you have a change of direction, but it's very convenient for you as a runner if you have the same distance between the controls, because then you have kind of the feeling for it. It's not that we have a big change in runnability here throughout the course, so that doesn't really make a difference for the runners. So often you can adapt to the distance between the controls and get a good feeling for it, and it gives you the possibility to build up a good flow. But we have to be careful when changing the direction, and then also to adapt when you have these longer controls in this race here, basically control 3 and 11. But otherwise it's, well, I mean, you could have put 1 or 2 controls in with kind of a different distance in between, but we have seen mistakes in the men's race, we have seen mistakes so far in the women's race, so I think it's a good course for the World Cup race. But it allows the runner to adapt the rhythm kind of to the course you got from the course planner.
Yep, so we're looking now here. Susan Lersch is going to be one of the first to be close to Isia Basse. We have not seen much from the finish at all, such as Isia Basse's kind of great time that she set earlier on, but she has caught up a couple of minutes there, and she's going to be looking to go into a strong 2nd place here. I think she's going to be just out of taking a new leading time, but in fact, Susan Lersch has caught up a lot from control, the control 10 onwards. For she was 2 minutes down there, so maybe a reflection of Isia Basse making some mistakes there. But Susan Lersch will go into 2nd place here. German athlete. Isia Basse still with that leading time. We've got a lot, though, to come through to the next part, to the 2nd split first, and then we'll see a lot at the finish. Sarah Hagström, though, has made a fantastic start. Is the first to go quicker than Carter Davis here, and quicker by 14 seconds as well.
Good speed in the uphill here. You can see that she's pushing hard.
Yeah, Sarah Hagström had a really great world champs, 5th in the middle distance, 8th in the long distance, part of that winning relay team. winning forest relay and sprint relay team. She's 11 seconds quicker than Carter Davis, but hasn't sorted her way out to the next control. And she's got a compass, as you can see, on her kind of strapped to her thumb, different type of compass there. As we see Kosova in here to the finish. Denisa Kosova from the Czech Republic. Is she going to be the new leading time? Yes, she is here. So Denisa Kosova goes into the lead 16 seconds ahead of Isia Basse. And that is really great result there. Okay, we have Abersold here. And if she beats Alexanderson, she could still take the overall World Cup title.
It's really exciting here, the fight for the overall World Cup between Abersold and Alexanderson.
Natalia Gempele is dropping a lot here out of the control. That's no, some people have taken that line.
And she has actually the chance to get onto the third position, the overall World Cup. Hanna Lundberg is on third position there with 255 points, and Natalia Gempele is 48 points behind. So quite a big gap, but still a chance.
But 48 seconds behind at that point, it's not the best of starts. I wonder if, again, we haven't really seen any GPS tracking from the first part of the course. I want to know whether they've been going round or not.
And
maybe I'll see if we can find it.
Yeah, and then we don't even have the times from Denisa Kosova. We don't have any split times there so far. So we are comparing to Hagström. But we don't know about Kosova's splits. But as you mentioned, not the best start here for Gempele. 48 seconds in this very beginning is quite a lot.
And here's our last starter, Tove Alexanderson. Will we see a repeat of the men's race where we had the double from Kasper Fosse? With, again, those two runners had a lead of a similar time, about 5.5 minutes was their lead over the rest of the field after that long distance. Kasper Fosse then with a 1.5 minute lead on this middle distance. Really impressive. And Benjaminsen is also behind at this point. I think it's Sarah Hagström quickest so far at this point of the course.
Not the
and
best
Benjaminsen
way
just not
here.
got the best line through there either. You can see where it's tracked up here, just to the right of picture, which is a better line to go down. It's just a few seconds here and there. But that's part of one of the skills of orienteering, kind of looking in the terrain and seeing what's gonna be the quickest line to run as well. She looks up.
Kind of surprising that she's losing 43 seconds here. Already silver medalist in the World Championships. I don't know if it would be interesting to see the route choice to the third control from those runners here. Haven't seen a lot of GPS before or in this race here. There might be some struggles with the connection of the devices.
So Benjaminsen, actually a really good route there, 3-4-5, catching up some seconds, and Lotta Koholo is also doing well. it is still Megan Carter-Davies leading at this point of the course, but I think she's dropped time from this point to the finish, and we've got her pre-warning in at the finish, but not in the lead.
Yeah, and someone with a very good start. We have in the picture here Hanna Lundberg taking the lead at the third control. 9 seconds ahead of Sara Hagström.
And what a contrast for Hanna Lundberg compared to the last middle distance that she ran on the World Cup circuit when she was the first starter. Ended up taking the win. I can't even believe still that she was the first starter. You know, she was about 805th in the world going into that race in the world rankings, and was sat in that leader's chair for so long. Her reaction still makes me smile. It's amazing. Here's Megan Carter-Davies though, and oh well, I don't know what was going on there in terms of her time to know whether she's in the lead or not. Yes, oh, she is in the lead. Gosh, well, my pre-warnings are all over the place then, because I don't know what is going on, but Megan Carter-Davies looks like she's gone into a new leading time of 36 minutes 28 seconds. Oh, goodness me, in which case we might have to just disbelieve all of the pre-warning things, because she was, looked like she was slower than Isia Basse.
Yeah, I think there was something strange with her time there. We saw it in the graphics at the very beginning, was something with 926 minutes, which obviously isn't correct. But here we have Simona Abersold, and we have a new leader at the third control.
We do have a new leader. It is Simona Abersold, second to last starter, and it really shows, I think, there's a small group of women that's just a class apart. Simona Abersold in there too, of course. We're still waiting for Tove Alexandersson to go, but look at the way Simona Abersold is attacking these hills. Right at the early part of this course, she's followed her map up nice and small and just really attacking up these hills. She's looking behind though. Can she hear Alexandersson coming? I don't know. We will wait and see what.
I don't think so, because
with 2 minute start interval. I mean, honestly, you have to have a teleport to do that.
Maybe it was something with the camera person there, but a very good start here, and of course she has to push and give everything she has. And here we have Tove Alexandersson punching at the third control. It will be interesting to see now. 4 seconds the difference between Abersold and Tove. And we know the one winning this race of those two in the head-to-head will be the winner of the overall World Cup, at least if they are top 5.
Yeah, well, Simona, sorry, I'm thinking about 3 things at once. Simona Abersold pulled up 10 seconds, though, just on this bit from 3 to 5. So Alexandersson has to try and match that. And she's reading the map really carefully. And she just makes the running, the physical side of things just look so easy.
I think it would have been good to go a bit more to the right there. Yeah. She goes the Benjaminsen way. And we have this fight here between Tove Alexandersson and Simona Abersold, and we also have the fight between Hanna Lundberg and Andrine Benjaminsen. So advantage Alexandersson and Lundberg at the moment, but let's see if it's still the same up at control 6 or 5 it is here. It's always hard to change from the women's course, from the men's course to the women's course.
It is, especially when they've got so many controls that are common. You see that a lot in the World Cup. They actually managed to do that quite well and have quite different courses in Sweden. I thought the course planning was really, really good for that, but it's not quite the same here. So let's have a look at the gap.
And it's only 1 second.
Only 1 second ahead. So Simona Abersold much better through that section. Virkla Mettinen has just gone ahead of Megan Carter-Davies by 21 seconds. So the young Finn doing really well there. in the forest as well as on the sprints. Oh, and we've got Sarah Hagström
and Olsson.
So Sarah Hagström has caught Caroline Olsson here. So she is the faster of these two athletes together. They're heading towards split number 2. So control number 10.
She was also the fastest in the race at control 8. Best time there, 26 seconds ahead of Megan Carter-Davis.
Caroline Olsson managing to stay ahead at this point. And both of them, taking different routes then down
Also
into control 15. Not control 15.
Lost 9 seconds here. This short section between control 8 and 10.
So everybody, of course, has now been through split number 1. And it's those two at the top who will be having this head-to-head battle for the World Cup overall. Tova Alexandersson and Simona Abersol. Just 1 second in it at the moment. Hanna Lundberg and Sarah Hagström are another two of the 4 Swedes making up the top 10. Also got, yeah, we can look down. Natalia Gempler a bit far down here in 12 plus 116. That's quite a lot for her. Lena Strands down there, 130. So those are, I think, the most of the surprises, kind of having lost time at that section. Caroline Olsson is a bit lower down there, 140. Vera Klemetinen was 140 down there. Must have had a storming end of this run, because was you know, over a minute behind Megan Carter-Davis at control number 10, and then has caught up, overtaken her, and gone into the lead at the finish. So that's pretty impressive stuff there for the Finn. Okay, let's look out for the last group of runners into the second TV split. Natalia Gempler has punched control number 8, but she is a long way down.
Yeah, there must have been a mistake there. 2 minutes and 6 seconds. That's too much here. And as I said before, she's still in the fight for this 3rd position in the overall World Cup, but she has to beat Hanna Lundberg. There we have Andrine Benjaminsen as well. That's more interesting here.
Yeah, so Benjaminsen will be close to the lead then.
Yeah, she was only 15 seconds behind at control 8.
But to be honest, neither of them are particularly filling me with confidence.
No, not if you see the
if you can look
pictures
the way
here.
they're both looking around a lot. First Natalia Gempler and then Andrine Benjaminsen as well.
But it's also in the uphill. It's sometimes hard to say when you have the camera on the top of the hill and you're filming down the hill. It's hard to say how fast they are. Sometimes it's kind of smart to take some steps as well, as we mentioned before, to read the map, maybe to read ahead already. And it looks slow on the camera, but I don't know if they lose a lot of time doing it here. Let's see.
It's more how much they were looking around though when on their way into that control. I think if you had your head in your map, you're looking at the map the whole time, then fair enough. But there's a lot of...
Yeah, but you have to, I mean, a bit you have to look around as well. If you only look at the map and not the terrain,
well,
doesn't help you.
Then you'll run into a tree.
Yeah.
You'll do much worse than run into a tree. You'll get very lost.
No, of course. Now, in this section here, I think it looks good. I agree that there was some hesitating before, but just in this section here, it actually looked okay. And we can look at the times here, especially for Benjaminsen. Was 15 seconds behind before.
Yeah, now she goes into the lead. Hanna Lundberg as well. She's punched this 8th control and is in a new leading time. 7 seconds quicker than Sara Hagström. But we just had a punch from Simona Abersold as well, and she's gone 1:14 quicker than Hanna Lundberg. So that is still a continuing fantastic start for Simona Abersold. Will Hanna Lundberg now go faster than Benjamin Minson at the next point? That's going to be the next question.
Another question will be if Abersold continues like she does at the moment. I mean, the visibility here is quite good. If she gets around 20 seconds behind, or like behind Hanna Lundberg in the terrain, she might spot her. Which can be a kind of a game changer, especially because Tove Alexandersson, I mean, she will not have the chance to catch someone. And in this situation here, it's mostly about the feeling you get from the run. I mean, they know that they are fast. They know that they haven't done any mistakes, both Abersold and also Tove Alexandersson. But of course, if you spot Hanna Lundberg, who won the last race in the middle distance, then it's a good sign for you, and it gives you a perfect feedback here. And I mean, the race,
Lundberg good here, and goes quickest, 8 seconds quicker.
Very good. It's very impressive how she's how she can what consistency she has in this season here. It's not only one race or 2 races she was running good. I mean, she's in the 3rd position in the overall World Cup here, Hanna Lundberg, and she was born 2002, so she's still only 19 years old.
Yeah, she's still a junior. You know, she wasn't at the World Champs. She went off, of course, to the Junior World Champs in Turkey, where she won the middle and the relay. And Simona Abersold here.
Would be interesting to see now the time of Tove Alexandersson at Control 8. I think we will see her in the picture very soon.
Yep, I think we will. It's about 2 minutes to get through this whole section, but Simona Abersold went quickest there. And Tove Alexandersson, you can see 13 seconds slower now than Simona Abersold.
But you can also see the speed here in this uphill. It's really good. We had some little hesitation there by Simona Abersold just before the control. So maybe the chance to win back a few seconds here for Tove Alexandersson.
I'm just excited. There's a real proper battle then, I think, between these two women for the win here. I mean, Tove Alexandersson is so good. We see her, of course, winning by 5.5 minutes on Thursday in that long distance, of which she has been so dominant. And for ages, especially at the World Champs, it seemed like, how could anybody get close to her? How could anybody be able to match that speed? And the fact that Simona Abersold is not just doing that, but beating her here today, and of course beat her on Swedish home soil at the World Cup second round last month. That was amazing too. And yeah, she's got to be careful not to drop too low actually here.
Yeah, now she gets a little bit into this.
I think she needs to be on the path and then go up from the path.
Yeah, now you can see that she's not totally in control over the situation. She's looking around a lot here. She has also some hesitation here, but she should see the hill. I guess she has the situation under control here. You can see she's definitely not gonna take the lead.
You can see she's just looking around. There you go.
Yeah,
she's
you could also see she was kind of relieved to see the control. But she was actually not losing much time here. I mentioned it before. Abersold didn't look too confident into this control either. Now we have the long leg coming towards control 11.
So everyone's been through this control now. Split 2, Simona Abersold with that lead, 14 seconds. And then a whole minute then back to Hannah Lundberg and Trine Benny Minson very close. Sarah Hagström very close as well. Then Megan Carter-Davis, who is actually now into second place. Veera Klemetinen is our current leader at the finish. So all those in the top page there still in some good contention. The likes are still Natalia Gempler there, 3 minutes 15 down. That's put Price to hers. Caroline Olsen also more than 3 minutes down. And I think to be in contention, you really need to be in that first page in the standings right now, even though I think we've seen mistakes from, I think, Megan Carter-Davis towards the end, just looking at her there. So I think we've got Lotta Carola coming in now.
She was 8 seconds behind at control number 15, the last radio control, and she has a chance at least to beat Megan Carter-Davis and maybe even to beat Veera Klemetinen. Will be tight though.
Yeah, and she's worked well up from kind of being, well, it's hard to tell because now you've got Simona Abersold and Tove Alexanderson into the mix, but I think has pulled up places certainly and not lost too much time in after the first few controls. So has been running quite consistently, and we'll have a look on the time. It's going to be really close for the lead, I think, here. Will she get it? Will she not? It's going to be so close with her teammate Veera Klemetinen, just racing straight for the line. She's going to be slower, but will go into the second place. So Finland 1-2 at the moment, just 4 seconds slower than Veera Klemetinen. And really great run there from Lotta Carola. Finn. Yeah, lots of Finnish potential there as we see Paolo Gross was up. Paolo Gross, yes, into 8th place. And so, yeah, 2nd and 8th there. We are waiting then soon for Caroline Olsen and Sarah Hagström, who we saw Sarah Hagström catch up Caroline Olsen.
Victoria Hesta Björnstad.
Yep, who's been caught and overtaken by both Paolo Gross and Lotta Carola, so she will not be featuring, unfortunately, in amongst the top results here.
We have seen the mistake at control 3, where she was following Paula Gross instead of going to the control. Lost a lot of time here, but of course she knew already in the beginning when she was caught by the other runners that it's not her day. Then it's always hard, or at least harder, to keep the focus on your own decisions and to keep the focus on navigation. But she did quite a good job from the first radio control. I mean, she was already 4 minutes behind there. Now we have the pre-warning for Sarah Hagström and Caroline Olsson. And I think soon we will have a new leader here. Maybe we can spot them there. We can spot them in the background, yes. The 2 Swedish runners. Yeah, maybe move the camera.
So Hesta Björnstad all the way into the finish. You can see how many runners there are close together after this middle distance race. And now I hope we can look through to the Swedes who are coming through very, very soon. I think maybe we also had Serena Kibberts there as well in that shot, so 3 of them running together. So that means Sarah Hagström has caught up 2 minutes on Caroline Olsen and then 4 minutes on Serena Kibberts. So here they are. Here she is, Sarah Hagström, leading out there, followed by the very familiar style, distinctive style of Caroline Olsen. The 2 of them will soon punch this last control. And if we have a look back, yeah, very consistent times then for Sara Hagström. But it was really from between the first and the second intermediate that the likes of Simona Abbesold and Tove Alexandersson were able to make a gap. These two here running really well, I think. We will soon see Andrina Benjaminsen into the finish as well.
I think we can spot them back there. But let's take the leader to the finish first here. Sara Hagström, big lead here. Almost 2 minutes.
Huge lead here then for Sara Hagström to go. The first one under the expected winning time, under 35 minutes. So Sara Hagström will cross the line just behind her teammate Caroline Olsen. 34.15, 1 minute 52 lead over Vera Klemetinen. Fantastic racing from Sara Hagström, and collapses on the line next to her teammate. Really tough running. There's Serena Kiberts there as well.
But now we are waiting for Andrina Benjaminsen, because we will have a new leader very, very soon to the finish. She's more than 1 minute ahead of Sara Hagström. And now we are in the fight for the third position in the World Cup, in the overall World Cup. Gap between Benjaminsen and Lundberg is only 25 points.
I have a feeling Sara Hagström must have made a mistake on this last point, because Andrina Benjaminsen at control number 10 was only 3 seconds ahead of Sara Hagström. Now she's 1 minute and 6 seconds ahead. And Natalia Gempela was, 2 minutes behind Sara Hagström, and is now like 50 seconds behind Sara Hagström. So there must have been a mistake, I think, there from the Swede towards the end, which is hard to see, but it means that it opens the door for the likes of Andrina Benjaminsen to take another big gap out of the rest of the field. You can see there she's caught up Natalia Gempela, and Andrina Benjaminsen again with a very consistent set of performances on this World Cup circuit means she's in the position that she's in today, and is she vying for a top 3 spots in the World Cup overall?
There's a chance. I mean, there's a fight between Andrina Benjaminsen and Hanna Lundberg. At the moment we have the advantage for Hanna Lundberg, but it could be a tight one here, actually, depending on the race of Hanna Lundberg, who we expect to be at the pre-warning very soon as well.
Yeah, she's the next runner who started after Benjaminsen, so we should have her at the pre-warning really, really soon. Benjaminsen, though, running all the way through to the finish. Really strong runner, forest runner, and she's going to take a big scalp out of Sara Hagström, put down a big mark there. But we know, of course, we've got Simona Abbesold, Tove Alexandersson to come. Great result, though, for Benjaminsen. Not an easy thing to do to catch up Natalia Gempela, and really take some distance out of her on the run-in as well. Fighting hard to the line, takes a new leading time there. Andrina Benjaminsen from Norway. And Natalia Gempela will cross in, I think, probably third, fourth, maybe even fifth spot, actually. Third spot there, you can see. Sorry.
Actually, the thing happened that mentioned before. Simona Abbesold has almost caught Hanna Lundberg. They're both at the pre-warning now, and we will have a new leader very soon, Simona Abbesold, and then we have to wait 2 minutes to see who will win the overall World Cup 2021. Here they are.
Here they are indeed, and you can see then that, exactly as you said, Simona Abbesold has overtaken Hanna Lundberg. I think that means Hanna Lundberg will be out of the medals, I think, just about. Yeah, she should be slower than Andrina Benjaminsen. And Simona Abersold is looking very good to take the new leading time. And then it will be a very anxious couple of minutes to see what Tove Alexanderson has done in this last little loop. Of course, we haven't really seen much of the GPS tracking. We think we've already seen a mistake from Sara Hagström in that particular part of the course as well. But now Abersold is really fighting hard. She has taken her first ever World Cup win this season in the long distance in Sweden, of course, beating Tove Alexanderson in the process. And can she do it a second time? Well, it's going to be very, very soon out of her control. She's just got to work really hard on this last section. It's such a long, painful run-in. I would absolutely hate it if it were me. And we will be waiting to see whether it's going to be enough for Simona Abersold to be able to take the win here.
At least I can say I'm quite confident that it will be enough for Hanna Lundberg to save this third spot in the overall World Cup, because she will just be behind Andrine Benjaminsen here, which is not enough for Benjaminsen. But the most interesting part is the fight between Abersold and Tove Alexanderson.
Hanna Lundberg then still a junior, and she's going to come home in third place. And there was some blue just behind there. I think Tove Alexanderson is on the chase. We've had the pre-warning. Let's just say it's pretty close between the two of them. But Abersold in here to take the new leading time, but will it be enough compared to Tove Alexanderson? She takes the lead, and now she's just got to wait 2 minutes to see if she will take the overall World Cup title. She's 1 minute and 5 seconds quicker than the Norwegian, than Andrine Benjaminsen. Hanna Lundberg will go into, yes, she is into that third place. She's defended that third place. We've just got one runner left to go, and they've given it everything here on the really long, grueling run-in. But we're waiting now for Tove Alexanderson, who has punched the pre-warning control.
Hanna Lundberg has this third position for sure now. So
in the World Cup standings,
in the World
yes.
Cup, yeah, of course.
All right, here she is, Tove Alexanderson.
This
and
will
she
be
was
enough.
Slightly ahead, as you can see, at the pre-warning control. And 14 seconds, I think, is too much to lose, and she's going to take this win.
Yeah, what a fight between the two. It was the fight all season long, and you can see how disappointed Abersold is. It was a fight all season long, 5 points difference before the last race, and now it's a matter of seconds.
It is a matter of seconds, but Tove Alexanderson is working hard. She pulled up 28 seconds on that last part of the race. Fantastic descent down the slopes for Tove Alexanderson, and Abersold is there to give her a round of applause as she takes the win here today. Another win for Tove Alexanderson, 23 seconds ahead of Simona Abersold, and with that she is back again, once again on the top of the podium, and has taken the overall World Cup standings. Congrats to Tove Alexanderson. That was a tighter battle than I thought it was going to be. So
yeah, congratulations to Tove, and I think the fact that she can't really take the congratulation of Simona there, because she's so tired, is maybe the biggest compliment you can give to Abersold in this position. She had to fight all the way to the finish, and well, if we look back at the season, I think very well deserved. She was the big name at the World Championships, and then she had this struggles with the coronavirus. She struggled in Sweden. She skipped one of the races there, and now she could win it anyway. So that's another very great performance by Tove Alexanderson, and it's just very good to see that it's so tight in women's orienteering, that we can have so exciting races between the two of them. And I think it's good for yeah, it's good for us as spectators, but it's also good. I think that both of them, Abersold and Alexandersson, enjoy that very much. I don't think they are the kind of person who want to be dominating. Yeah, of course they want to do it, but I think they really like the fact that there's a big fight for this. Place on top of the World Cup, and well, it's good for everyone, it's good for the sport, and as I said, it's good for us as the spectators.
Yeah, exactly. It means so much more to win something where you've had to work really hard for it, where you've had to push yourself, and you know it's not an easy win. And maybe it was a bit on the long distance, but it certainly wasn't on this middle distance. Really, really fighting hard. And if we just look down the results, I mean, Hanna Lundberg with that 4th place again really shows there's no fluke with her orienteering after that Swedish World Cup. 2 Finns in the top 10 with Vera Klemetinen and Lotta Kaholo. It's really, really fantastic, and I think they're really buoyed by the news that they'll soon have Thierry Georgiou as their team coach. I think they've got a lot of motivation, and they've worked really hard to do that. We've got Isia Basse with a great 12th place in there as well. But let's of course have this confirmation then of the World Cup points from 2021. So Tove Alexandersson 505 points. Simona Abersold, as we said, 2nd place. Hanna Lundberg defending that 3rd place. She's still a junior. Andrina Benjaminsen, I think, a well-deserved 4th place. A lot of consistency for her as well. And Elena Ross still in 8th place, not even racing in these last couple of rounds of the World Cup. Not here in Italy.
Unfortunately, she was injured, so she couldn't come here.
Alexandersson, 5 gold medals in the World Championship earlier this year, and now World Cup winner. How does it feel?
Oh, it feels so good. I'm so happy with the weekend and the work I have done the last 2 weeks, and come back after COVID, and it has just been so fun to be here and compete again, and it has been amazing terrain and fun orienteering.
It was so close between you and Simona Abersold to the very end. Can you tell us about the race today?
Yeah, I knew that it would be tight, and that I needed to do a really good performance, and I am really satisfied with my race today. I have done some small on some places, but I have always been really focused in orienteering and not any mistakes, just some place I have had to stop and maybe come a little bit not where I wanted to be, but any big mistakes. So I'm really satisfied with my race.
Yeah, so almost a perfect race today.
Yeah, I will look at the map later. You always find some things, and I did some smaller mistakes, but I was so focused and didn't stress up by the small things, and just I did exactly what I wanted to do, so I'm really happy with that.
Thank you very much to Alexandersson, and congratulations.
Thank you.
So I think probably what we would expect to hear there from Tove Alexandersson with, I would say, kind of summing up the nature of this race, in that it wasn't really about big mistakes, particularly, although of course we'll have seen some, but it was mostly about, can you get that feeling of progressing well through the terrain, not making too many hesitations, because if you're doing, I guess, as we said, 2 seconds on every control, that's 40 seconds on the men's race, and could cost you a medal, something like that. It's being able to keep that speed high when there's so much detail. Of course, she says she'll go back and have a look, and maybe it was not going to be quite as perfect race as maybe the interviewer is suggesting, because I'm sure that's what the top orienteers do. They like to pick holes in their own races. But a standout performance from today, is it this man?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is this man. It was maybe the biggest surprise today. Finally, he got his race where he got everything together, and he ended up in a 3rd position. Another one to highlight, I mean, we have to do it every time because she's still a junior, is Hanna Lundberg. She's not only ending up in 4th position today, but she's also ending up in 3rd position in the overall World Cup. So I think those two performances today, they were outstanding. And then of course we had this big fight between Tove Alexandersson and Simona Abersold, which is always a pleasure to follow. And I mean, it needed this almost perfect race of Tove Alexandersson to actually win the overall World Cup, because Simona Aebersold, she did what she had to do. If you follow the split times, she was 3 seconds behind in the beginning, then she was in the lead at control third 10, and then it was just changing and then up and down all the way, but they were very close to each other, so it was really a head-to-head, not only the whole season but also in the race today.
Yeah, and for a lot of times this season, we've seen Tove Alexandersson win despite making a big mistake. And today she won with a pretty clean race. So I think that kind of shows that those women were on such a top form today and having to compete to their best. And that's what we like to celebrate, is not just great success, but people just doing great orienteering.
I mean, it's hard to say for us. We didn't really see much of the work they were doing out in the forest, so it's hard to really analyze their runs. Also, we have to go back and look at the performances later on when you have the GPS of Tove Alexandersson and Simona Aebersold. But what we can see here from the split times and how close the race is, and also what Tove Alexandersson was telling us, it must have been an almost perfect race. Of course, you would never, you as an orienteer, you never want to say that you had the perfect race, because it's kind of giving up your dream to always get better.
Yeah, you always want to improve, don't you? And it kind of ruins the fun, doesn't it? If you have too many good performances, you've got nowhere to go from there. You know, if you hark back to Thierry Georgiou's very famous 1 second mistake that he put in his analysis of the race, he's able to analyze it so much that he's allowed to get a 1 second mistake. That's just absolutely crazy. But I think it's a reflection of how seriously a lot of the top orienteers take this, and how much they want to be improving, and because they know that they have to keep up in their game alongside everybody else. It has to be they have to be in control. So right, we're going to get the flower ceremony then for the men's and the women's races, probably starting with the men's, then moving on to the women's. And so in third place, we will have in the men's class, representing the home nation of Italy, it is Riccardo Scalet. And Jonas, you said it, he's been working so hard and had put together, some races nearly there, showed he has had a lot of potential, but to come away and get this third place in a home World Cup must be unbelievable feeling. We have Matthias Kiberts then into a second place, rounding off another great season for him, particularly strong at the World Champs. And then, of course, taking the second win at this meet, again with an impressive margin of victory, 1 minute and 24 seconds. Kasper Fosser just seems unbeatable in this terrain. So quick, so strong. And Kasper Fosser taking the win, taking the World Cup overall title as well. And full of confidence as we head into tomorrow's sprint relay. We saw him being instrumental for Norway in the relays at the World Championships. I'm sure he will be there too again tomorrow in that sprint relay. So congrats to those three. I mean, is Kasper Fosser on the men's side, the highlight performance across the whole season?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost that you would like to go and get a hat just to take it off again. It's such great performances by him. During the whole season, he was so dominating, especially like the long distances. It's something we have seen by Olav Lundenes earlier. The way he opened the race at the World Championships there, he just dominated every control in the beginning, and he did kind of the same on Thursday again. He's such a high speed, especially in long distances. And something interesting he mentioned is kind of the middle distance was, if there was one weak point in his performances, then it was the middle distances. But also there, I mean, he had, I think it was the fifth position at the World Championships, and he was still up there. He was still in contention. There are so many guys who can be good in middle distances, so he's really dominating at the moment.
Antonie Benjaminsen then with the third place. Another World Cup top 3 for her. Fantastic racing. Simona Aebersold then goes into second place. Hasn't even managed to... she's still got her SI unit and everything there. Quick turnaround for these flower ceremonies. But oh goodness me, didn't she give Tove Alexanderson a fantastic race? It wasn't to be for her today. And Tove Alexanderson is back to the top of the podium again, taking 2 from 2 in this competition. Only beatable this season when she had COVID. I mean, after having COVID, I mean, that just it needed a virus to go and kind of allow the others maybe to catch up and take any wins and allow anybody any edge into that competition. She's been so fantastic and will continue to be. I'm hoping for many more years to come.
I mean, we have been talking a lot about Tove and Simona Aebersold, but also Andrine Benjaminsen is such a consistent runner throughout the whole season, and I get the feeling that she got a little bit closer to the 2 leading girls here. The gap before was bigger for sure. It's just that they are so good. It's hard. Sometimes you almost forget how. On what level Benjaminsen is performing here throughout the whole season, and she's only 1 minute 28 behind. She took the silver medal, if I'm right, in the middle distance at the World Championships. So she is up there, but the focus is so often on Alexanderson or Aebersold that it's easy to forget her. But we have more names now in the women's competitions. We have Benjaminsen, Lundberg, Hagström, Kemperle, Aebersold and Alexanderson, so it's really opening up here as well, and that makes it very interesting for us.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, she got the silver medal in the middle distance of the World Champs, second in the long distance in Sweden at the World Cup, and really, yeah, she does seem like we ignore her, but you're so right. She is racing on a fantastic level, and particularly this year, but has had a number of great results in the years previously as well, but really seems to be breaking in, and I hope she can just kind of continue improving now.
Yeah, maybe the difference is that she doesn't really have the consistency in every kind of terrain. Sometimes she has some races where she can lose quite a lot of time, or where she is not really up there. That's the difference basically to Alexanderson and Aebersold, who are on top, like in top 3 or 5 in every race. And if Benjaminsen continues to work on that, as she was the last years, I think it will be even tighter the coming years, and we will see many more exciting races.
Yeah, but we've got one more race of the World Cup still to come, with a sprint relay tomorrow. See all the different nations battling it out, multiple teams per nation. It's going to be very fast down in Cortina, and hopefully some fantastic racing as well. Lots of chopping and changing. We'll be back to bring you that one tomorrow, but we will leave you with some pictures from today's forest. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Italian Parliament, Major of Staff, Mr. Fachin, and the Colonel of the Italian Army, Mr. Di Cosmo.
there. So we will start the prize giving ceremony for the women, the 6 best women. Please together at the prize giving ceremony area. Thank you.